About 5 years ago, in a wild era where yokai freely roamed and wreaked havoc everywhere, a legendary exorcist with unmatched power appeared, wiping out all the harmful yokai to protect humanity. From then on, yokai learned to fear and hid behind disguises to coexist. The descendants of that exorcist inherited his spiritual strength, generation after generation, safeguarding their lands until 1,000 years later, when the full heir emerged. He is Haruaki, a gentle teacher. Haruaki is harmless to the human world but the ultimate threat to yokai. Today, he's been recruited to teach at DRT Academy. Gazing at the scene before him, he's thrilled, like he's on an adventure at a festival. The school he aims for sits at the highest point on the island. This is his second teaching gig. Last year, as a young novice, he got bullied by students and quit right away, staying home for a year. Realizing how pitiful that was, he's back today to try again, thanks to a friend's recommendation. DRT Academy is an ancient school, preserving its traditional charm in uniforms and all. Haruaki, obsessed with this style, is buzzing with excitement. Upon arrival, he's stunned by the towering building. It's impressive enough to leave a mark. The principal, along with some odd spirits, appears, startling him, but he thanks his friend for the opportunity. Actually, the principal should be the one thanking him, since Haruaki's family has helped them greatly before. The academy needs his power, making the young man beam with joy. No one's ever praised this so-called useless guy like that. The principal then introduces the second-year class Haruaki will handle. He vows to be an amazing teacher, but life rarely goes as planned. Teaching human delinquents might be tough, but the principal assigns him to a class full of yokai outcasts. This setup is a nightmare for a timid soul like Haruaki. He alerts the principal about the strange kids inside, but of course, the principal knows they're all yokai. As the name suggests, DRT Academy trains all kinds of yokai. Overwhelmed, Haruaki tries to leave, but the principal won't let him, aiming to turn this human into the school's first teacher. Haruaki fears being eaten alive, unaware of his own immense exorcism powers that unconsciously injure the principal. After a struggle, Haruaki is overpowered and thrust into that chaotic class. The students curiously wonder who he is, but he hides under the desk for over 40 minutes. Finally, a student who looks human, Sano, coaxes him out, only for Haruaki to get stuck because the desk is too small, already a comedic mess. Sano pulls him free but rips his clothes, leaving him in pink shorts. The girls are shocked, labeling him a pervert, and Haruaki screams louder than anyone. A tiny student, Mauka, approaches and introduces Sano, also known as the Plague God, who brings bad luck to others. Normally, Sano doesn't use his powers harmfully, but Haruaki irks him, so he can't resist. The principal calls Haruaki out for a chat, exasperated that a teacher fears his students. To calm him, the principal offers Haruaki's favorite item, a uniform encyclopedia. Suddenly cheerful, Haruaki ignores the yokai kids and focuses on his gift. The principal promises a uniform if Haruaki teaches well, so he eagerly agrees. First, Haruaki introduces himself, and when he calls out names, the students' human forms appear, easing his fear a bit. Only Mauka stays friendly, encouraging him. Just then, Hita returns from a wedding and brings gifts for everyone, lifting spirits until they realize Haruaki is human, sparking tension. Hita attacks, revealing his swamp yokai heritage, covering Haruaki in mud. This ability runs in his family. Emerging from the ground, Haruaki looks more yokai than human, amusing the students. They demand he teach humans elsewhere. Haruaki wants to, but human schools bullied him constantly, leaving him in tears with no friends. Sharing his story, the students fall silent, feeling sympathy. Continuing roll call, Haruaki calls for Yoshiki, who's been absent for a year but might return for the class photo tomorrow. Hita warns it's pointless, as yokai live in separate dorms. Mauka cautions Haruaki about the girls' dorm, and Sano tags along to prevent trouble. Haruaki worries more for Yashiki's future, fearing she'll fail. In his mind, Haruaki sees Yashiki as a lucky yokai, and thinks convincing her could turn his life around. Sano reads his thoughts and advises against it. Hita curiously checks the yokai encyclopedia, learning about his kind dog-like creatures that can shapeshift. Mauka feels down being compared to a dog. The book, from 2000, has inaccuracies. Haruaki wonders why Sano's type isn't listed, making him somber. They reach Yashiki's room, ring the bell with no answer, so Hita transforms into a green blob to unlock the door. Haruaki praises the evolution, but Sano finds it tacky. Her future's at stake, she might get held back. In his mind, he thinks of summoning a lucky spirit, believing if he gets her to school, his life will bloom. Sano reads his silly thoughts and advises dropping it. The bean spirit, curious about its entry, checks the encyclopedia. Bean demons are small, dog-like creatures that can shapeshift. Mauka's compared to one, but Sano finds it unimpressive. The dog spirit feels down. This info dates back to 2000, so it's outdated in spots. The teacher wonders why spirits like disease gods aren't mentioned, making the boy fall silent. The trio then heads to Yashiki's room and rings the bell, but no answer. The bean spirit transforms into a green blob, nicknamed Rimuru, to slip through the lock and open the door from inside. Haruaki watches in awe, praising it as the pinnacle of clever evolution. Evolution Sano didn't. He felt like something was a bit lame. Mauka was able to get halfway through when there was a restriction that caused him to get shocked and turn back into his original form. The girl inside also gave him a warning letter, but he didn't give up. Somehow, when he touched it, the useless teacher's spiritual power broke the door inside. Cold air was released, making them a bit hesitant to go in. They saw the room was full of that girl's shit. She also scolded him, saying that she was busy saving the world, calling over and over again. It turns out that Yashiki is a serious game addict, treating herself as if she were living in a game. After she finished speaking, she realized how they could get in here. The little bean saw the game and asked if Hieta had advised her friend to play this game. About a year ago, he gave her a few games, but they were all defeated in one night. From then on, her intense passion for games began, turning her into an addict. Her biological clock was also changed, and day and night were turned upside down. She was sleepy in the morning. Mở mắt ra được cho nên mới nghỉ học nghe xong, lý do ba đứa kia cũng sốc. Tưởng đâu bị gì cơ, tự dưng Haruaki lại cúi đầu cầu xin em ấy đi học vào ngày mai để còn chụp ảnh lớp nữa. Tuy ở trường không thể giải cứu thế giới nhưng đổi lại sẽ có nhiều kỷ niệm đẹp mà trò chơi không có nghe vậy. Yashiki cũng bảo anh thầy mở mắt, thế là đập vào mặt là cái áo ngực. Cô nàng còn nghĩ cha nội này biến thái cố tình dập đầu vào đó để hít mùi, cái kết là cũng bị hạ knock out, may mà trong người nhiều linh khí nên không chết. Đậu nhỏ cố advised her friend to go to school and said SXA, although a bit of a crybaby, but he is a good person. He suddenly woke up and said that when he became an adult he could stay in his room, but his student life could only be now complemented. The student with beautiful black hair wearing a uniform, she was definitely cute. In fact, this was for his personal purpose, but he also successfully advised the person to be surprised. The next day, Sano accidentally heard information about the homeroom teacher. 2 other teachers also asked about the person. This new colleague was told by the principal that he was recruited not because he was an acquaintance, but because of his extremely special background. Born into a family that specializes in exorcising demons, he inherited all the great power from Haruaki's family lineage. He is currently living as the guardian of the land and also runs a shrine to preserve the essence of the family. The second son of that shrine is the man with the most obvious power similar to his ancestors. The principal thinks he can become a good stimulus for him. For the students who want to know if inviting that person will be good or bad after hearing the whole story, Sano also understood why yesterday the teacher was able to break the door and rush in. The anti-demon barrier is useless against people with extremely strong spiritual power. On this side, Little Bean came to play with the homeroom teacher by chance. He also discovered that the Forbidden Book is a collection of uniform photos that the principal bribed Haruaki. Suddenly Sano understood why the girls considered him a pervert. Then when Litin was acting innocent, he promised to do so. Don't tell anyone while just revealing someone's secret. Yashiki, after being complimented for being beautiful, also went to class, making everyone happy but me, not because discovered this girl wearing a skirt, but also wearing long pants underneath. With a uniform enthusiast like this, really unacceptable photo T intentionally caught that girl for violating the rules by wearing pants. Underneath, the guy saw that also exposed and said this guy has a uniform mania, so girls, remember to be careful everyone after that look. Sense with the enemy's eyes looked down on him, not as good as the sense of shame. Hieta then stood up to apologize for his behavior the day before. Seeing that the teacher could call that stubborn girl to go to school, he secretly admitted that he was a genius. Hearing that, Haruaki suddenly became happier and took a picture with these domineering students. Although many things had happened, the class of 26 students was all present like this, which was a success. Sano felt that he was not ugly, so he also praised Swong for being too crazy. Men pushed the student down and wondered how he could invite Yashiki to go to school. But my fate is still unlucky. This sentence made her hear that the seat of the child like me can change happiness or unhappiness based on clothes. Wearing red shirt means there is a bad omen plus the god of disease behind it. It's true that the destruction combo brings unimaginable misfortune to me. Right after that, the unlucky teacher was also knocked out by Sano by being forced to face the ground. At the end of the day, Haruaki was invited by 2 colleagues to eat and drink convenient things to get to know each other because they will be working together in the future. Long. I should have introduced this morning, but because I was too busy with work, I only had time. Now the horn teacher is called Mickey, who is in charge of teaching the class next to him, is a type of monster called Dong Tuesday Village Demon. Even though I know living with Rukai like them is a bit difficult, But I hope they don't be afraid. Sitting next to him is teacher Hatanaka, who is in charge of life education for the students. He is much quieter than his friend, and every time Miki pours out a cup of alcohol, the young man confiscates it, causing Haruaki was confused and asked what he was doing, but Hatanaka didn't say anything, but his hand still moved to stop his friend from drinking. He also reminded him that he needed to wake up early tomorrow to take the students for a health check. He was new, so he didn't know how hard this job was. In general, he had to do a lot of different things, so tomorrow morning he would have to come earlier than usual. Mikey also threatened that every year, a few teachers had to be hospitalized after checking on students. Haruaki was also shocked when he heard that. Because measuring the body is not tiring, it's just that I'm a teacher, so I have to endure it. What can I do now? The next day I'll let the students wear gym shirts to check their health more easily, because each person has different characteristics, so it's a bit of a hassle. The girls are afraid of getting fat, and the boys are afraid of being short, this and that. Seeing that, Haruaki realized that even though they are monsters, they are still in their youth. So it's quite funny, little Dao is still afraid that the doctor will say he's not a raccoon dog. It's tiring. The teacher also reassures him to rest assured, whoever, I don't know, but Mauka 100ph belongs to the dog family. Then, when they got out, Haruaki was told by teacher Hatanaka to start the first job, which would be to go to the eye test. He told me to go to the audiovisual room to prepare, and was also given the doctor's phone number so that when he got there, he could call that number, making him confused. The other friend didn't explain anything more but urged his colleague to go to work because there was still a lot of work. Later, Haruaki was present at the eye test room and realized why the two colleagues yesterday said this job was very tiring. Which student stood at school and looked out to the Tokyo Tower hundreds of kilometers away? It turns out the phone number written on the paper was to contact the doctor on the other end of the line. Whichever picture he pointed at, this kid could read it out loud. How cruel. After the test, they reported the results of the new kid's vision being around 130 degrees. This is really shit. Haruaki was shocked after hearing it, not knowing if it was good or bad. After completing the vision test, he went into the courtroom, so he continued to be assigned the task. Especially, Hatanaka orders Haruaki to take the cat and the badger dog in class to Mickey's office for it. He scolds him for dawdling. Swiftly, the teacher scoops up Mauka and Akium to the health room. Why make me carry you when you have legs? He grumbles. Mickey demands they enter the cage, not for sale, but for vaccinations. Once inside, a sealing spell locks their powers, transforming them back to their original forms. The homeroom teacher also submits himself. Hey, this is our family charm, it's not dangerous at all, so don't worry, stay in there. Play the doctors from the island are also there to start the vaccination with the rainbow medicine. Look at the face of the tea house, is so cunning. The two students are also scared, want to find a way to escape, but it's not easy. Mauka cried so much, asking Sensei to let her go because she hates being injected, not only the students but the other teachers in the animal class. Two were also put in the cage to be vaccinated. All saw teacher Nezumi turned into a mouse, looking scared. Haruaki also. Not knowing how to comfort him, Hatanaka saw that he was old and still afraid of getting an injection. He ran out but was dragged by Miki. He himself was like the others, had to get an injection for safety, until he was locked up. Then he understood what fear felt like. This young man had the form of a sickle-toothed ferret with the name of Liam Dew. In general, they were animals, so it was right to get an injection. He was angry that his friend reminded him of the unpaid debt of 3,000 yen, which made Miki a bit of a fox, so he asked his friend, Dr. Takahashi, to give him 2 injections, and threatens to snip more than just the basics, terrifying the kids. The little bean gets carried by Haruaki for the shot, but seeing its fear, he feels sympathy and tries to distract it with a story about uniforms. Mauka gets bored and jumps away, right as the doctor jab soups, straight into Haruaki's head. He panics, wondering if he'll turn into a dog, Takahi. He puts on a scary face and says, "Don't worry, I've already given the humans their shots, no need to panic. But if you want even more reassurance, try this newly made potion." The teacher stares at the massive syringe, big as a cow's leg, and shudders. Get injected and you might drop dead on the spot. After enduring it, the vaccinations are done. Miki mentions there's still the height measurement to handle. "I'll give it my best," he says, though it's straightforward work, but glancing at the towering student. "The game is taller than 7 towers, then I don't know how to calculate the hell." The giant is said to be a monster that can create mountains or rivers, so it's understandable that a body, this big Haruaki, doesn't know what to do, and asks his 2 colleagues for help. Hatanaka, after injecting the drug, is useless and can't do anything. Haruaki wants to play rock, paper, scissors for fairness. It's hard to see how the other guy made me do anything. The result is, as everyone knows, the human is trying to compete with the monster because lost. So the domineering teacher had to climb to the top of the mountain before he could start climbing up the other kid's body. I mean, he was young, but he was so fucking big. Oh, I saw the head teacher working so hard and didn't know how to encourage him. Mickey below kept pushing the responsibility and also reminded this friend up there to be careful because the wind was very strong. When he climbed up to his ear, he dropped the cute uniform set that the principal gave him. To him, this was priceless. As a result, he let go of his hand to reach for it and fell freely from above. Tumbles right down, but luckily Sano catches him just in time. Turns out Sano hates measurements and was napping on his head, hearing the cries and swooping in to save the day. With the height check done at 130 meters, he's thrilled to finally outsize the Great Buddha. His colleagues below are busy, so Haruaki must climb down alone, but he can't, so he asks Sano to carry him. Yet Haruaki doesn't die. He's swept into the principal's office. Sano follows and scolds him, banning him from getting close, as the disease spirit brings bad luck that now clings to Sano too. Amid their argument, they realize the principal suffered the most. Thinking he's doomed, he's actually fine and kind, so no harm done. Haruaki offers to pay for the broken window, but it's waived. Haruaki survives the blast, crashing into the principal's office with Sano in tow, who yells at him and forbids closeness, as his bad luck now spreads. As they argue, they see the principal suffered most, but he's forgiving. Haruaki offers window compensation, but it's not needed. That glass isn't something a teacher's meager salary can replace, so the principal wants him to make up for it with tasks. The next morning, instead of fixing the window, Haruaki and students clean the pool as penance. He apologizes, but it's done. What else can he do? Lucky they're helping, or he'd be alone forever. The others are cheerful but curious about the pool's state. Last year they trained at the beach, but this year, with rising heat, sea monsters are rampant, so it's off. Arriving, they find the pool turned into toxic sludge, everything in ruins from neglect. Hieta says cleaning this is futilely might be faster to rebuild. The water's thick with eerie gas, dangerously hazardous. Haruaki decides, since they're here, to just release it all and see. Let it all out and see what happens. Sano reminds the teacher to be careful not to destroy the ecosystem on the island or you'll die. Hieta tried to unlock it quickly but slipped and fell down the crowd. On the shore was so shocked, they didn't know how to save him because it was no different from poison. Smart people calmed down because he was a mud monster. Probably he'd be fine after a while. He came up but felt so sick. The poison also transformed Hieta into another version. It looked quite funny. Can't be saved, new guy. Had to kick him down as if he was dead. Haruaki also agreed with this, urging the others to go flush the water before he could do anything else. Suddenly, the little bean was pulled down by the little monsters under the water. These three cables were funny and wanted to invite their little friend to play a bit, but the others didn't let them. So the two sides fought without a winner. Mauka was so scared that he had to use his ultimate to activate the friendship passive and ask Sano for help because the others were so useless. With just one kick, he successfully sent the three fish flying far away. To save his pitiful friend, this pair looks like a young dad with his son. The creature warns not to get cocky after beating it, calling them fools. Aekium plans to eat it, but learns a stronger lord lurks below. A massive shadow emerges from the pool thought to be a dragonfish, but it's more comical. It's the human-faced fish, with a human-like face, issuing a challenge. Defeat it to clean up. It mocks them as cheap spirits. The taunts spark a fury, making everyone attack. Aekium, the cat, charges at the dull fish in bravery, only to be swallowed whole. Such a weak move. The others must rescue, as the fish lord attacks, but Sano blocks it with absolute power, reminding them. He tells it to revert to its true form to capture the rogue fish. At 130 meters, it's easy for his friend to grab the fish lord. Defeated, it accepts death, saying, "Cook me however you like," but he refuses to eat such a creature. Mauka suggests inviting the dazed fish to the creature club for a life of comfort, 3 meals a day, no worries. Tempted, the fish lord agrees. Later, the work. The cleanup begins, but suddenly he remembers standing in toxic water, slips, and creates a tidal wave that sweeps everything away. The principal arrives to find total destruction. Haruaki pulls out a mini pool and asks if it can substitute, infuriating his friend who threatens to dock his pay. Days later, Haruaki is invited to observe Miki's class, excited as he has much to learn from his colleague. That friend will teach about yokai studies, much like history or the growth of Jukai. In simpler terms, it's social science. The teacher thinks that if Haruaki learns more about yokai, he'll become a great educator. Hearing this, his eyes light up instantly, though he's never quite grasped his student's mindset before. After he leaves, other colleagues feel envious, as those two teachers interact with Jukai the most, unlike the rest who keep their distance after. Once they learn Haruaki harbors the destructive power that terrifies the yokai world, they're gripped by sheer panic. Miki thinks they're foolish for fearing it, since that immense strength is exactly why she must tame it. Moments later, the ghost enters and explains that today's lesson will be observed by their homeroom teacher, leaving everyone feeling utterly deflated. It's the most uncomfortable pairing. In the students' eyes, Mickey is the strict and clever teacher, while their homeroom is completely the opposite, they say, not wanting last year's first-year incident to repeat at all, so he's tense from the start. He begins by checking the homework from last week, and hearing that, the stragglers panic because they don't remember it. That guy rats out his friends, revealing Mujina forgot to do the homework. Mickey just smiles and tells him to stay after class. Hita is among the slackers who forgot, so after seeing that leader act foolishly, he's learned his lesson. He stands up. I said I did it, but I left it at home somehow. Mickey agreed to let me go fetch it, even calculating the round trip would take 15 minutes, leaving Hita utterly shocked. If I return without the homework, I'll face even more charges of deceiving the teacher and betraying friends. The other kids are wiser, they know that teacher well, so they act incredibly well behaved. Witnessing this, Haruaki feels deep admiration. While his colleagues earn student respect, this young man must kneel and beg them to do his homework for him. Today, they dive deeper into the mysterious world of yokai types and how these creatures have evolved with modernization. Basically, their class has 3 main types: human-like, animal-like, and object-like. Hearing this, Haruaki suddenly feels wiser than ever. He's learning the most in the class, it seems. Glancing at Sano, he wonders what the plague god falls under. He imagines if she turned into a dog like Mauka, she'd be adorably charming. This thought instantly reaches her, so she hurls a pen straight at the teacher's face, demanding he stop staring at her with that perverted gaze. Spirit powers vary, some by will, others by specific actions. The hardest to control are like Sashiko, needing emotions to activate. As mental spirits, not physical, they can't always command their powers, leading to accidental disasters. Same danger can cause disaster. This sentence makes Sano a bit tickled, because it itself is such an object. The drunkard is a type of movement, like Mauka to use magic. He has to suck alcohol to activate the pure ability to make it easier to understand. Mickey also asked to practice a little to scare the students to death. They all stopped only. Haruaki didn't know anything. Curious to see the result, was glared at by the students. Already went to observe the class, then be quiet and watch who told you to say. Listen, that old man also demonstrated a little bit of his own ability. As soon as he drank enough alcohol, an extremely powerful source of magic power was born. A light touch destroyed the board. That's why the students didn't dare let the teacher drink alcohol. The so-called disaster at the beginning of the first year was this incident. Mickey not only became stronger, but her personality was also changed by alcohol, becoming more difficult and irritable. She scolded the students in a way that was not proper when she was stressed. Then in Hira's room he found the assigned homework, and of course he hadn't done it yet. So I cried so much because I'll be beaten up later. Sano will go back to class and tell the homeroom teacher that every time that guy drinks alcohol he loses control. Even though he can't use magic, physical strength is what needs to be taken care of. Last year this guy made a big mess until he sobered up. So everyone was scared when they saw the drunkard in his out-of-control state. All the blame was put on Haruaki, who had contributed greatly to the incident on the mountain. He was about to call another teacher but was stopped because it was during class. Where do you think you're going? The result: that ruthless teacher crushes the orange, spraying juice into his eyes, making him writhe in pain. Mujina laughs, saying good riddance to the traitor. Mickey decides to show off his combat skills to his colleague, but Haruaki thinks it's about seeing his salary. Sano, sensing the tension, reminds them of the teacher's spirit-sealing powers and urges Haruaki to use his yin-yang abilities to restrain the troublemaker. In the midst of uncertainty, Haruaki didn't know how to unleash his immense spiritual power, unaware of the colossal strength hidden within him. To protect his students and guide them through the storm, he charged in recklessly, only to be blasted away, teetering on the brink of death. Hatanaka, passing by this hauntingly familiar scene, scolded Mickey for drinking again, struggling himself to shield Haruaki from becoming the direct target in a fierce showdown with the mischievous demon. Overwhelmed by fear, Haruaki faced a desperate gamble, where every choice could mean triumph or total ruin. Sano had to promise that if the homeroom teacher tried, Yashiki would wear a skirt without pants for him to see. Hearing that, the powerful spiritual power inside Haruaki exploded. Yashiki was furious when that jerk said nonsense when the oil was boiling because he was too eager to see that girl's delicious legs. The incompetent teacher defeated all the nearby demons with the terrifying spiritual power that had been passed down through many generations until Haita finished all the homework. They're brought to see this scene here after the incident. Sano still can't believe that phase men had destroyed all the demonic power in the school. Haruaki realized he wasn't as incompetent as he thought, so asked him to keep it a secret from his classmates. If he told them, they would hate him, then that's it. I don't know how to live anymore. I want to have a happy school life with everyone. These honest words also made Sano think just when he was a little bit more spirited. Then the little demons threw shit in his face because he didn't fertilize them properly. Seeing the homeroom teacher being bullied like this was quite funny. A few days later, Hita followed the Nui to ask him to let him see the homework. The one-eyed youth didn't want to because helping like this would only harm them. Moreover, he had already begged him hundreds of times since last year, so he didn't let him. He also scolded Hita for being so stupid that he would grow up to be a failure like their homeroom teacher. Tinko Haruaki, who was nearby, heard it and scared them so much that he asked him what he was doing on the way to the guide. Then he knew that he was help teacher Hatanaka take on this job. He hopes that these seemingly simple tasks will connect him with the students who want to become good teachers. In their eyes, knowing that Haruaki doesn't understand the new rules, he also tells the teacher about Sano being a student who violated the hair rules. Hearing that, he thought he went to dye his hair, so he scolded him. As a result, he was dragged by the neck and taken to another place. He affirmed that he wouldn't dye his hair again. From the perspective of men, he was very cool, so he let him off. This catches Hatanaka's ear, and he nearly strikes his colleague for covering up bad behavior. Yashiki arrives in a skirt over pants, which Haruaki can't stand and tries to correct, calling it improper. He's labeled a monster, leaving him furious and determined to fix it, but ends up dragged away by authorities for his outburst. The two game addicts rejoice at the free play, but Hatanaka won't allow it. Happened immediately confiscated everything only. He is serious without reporting. Also often scold Mickey for being lazy to grade homework. People finished it last week, but now he just finished the matter of confiscating the exhibits, made the students in the class boil with anger. Yashiki thought they had to pretend to cry to get him to let it go, but as soon as they got to the teacher's room they heard that Hakana would confiscate the game consoles until the test next week started. This will help the students study harder, Mickey said. Every time this happens, a few foolish ones can't resist and try to reclaim what's lost, so they hide everything in a safe for protection. It's the teacher's duty to handle it all the way through. In class, Mauka is diligently studying, earning Yu's admiration. Just then, those two game-obsessed troublemakers return, rallying for a battle to win back their belongings. The Ogata twins, who faced the same fate earlier, agree to join in. Sano warns Mauka to keep studying and not be as foolish as the rest. That night, 4 friends broke into the room to find the things. Unexpectedly, they found out that there were more partners. Haruaki initially thought they were thieves, so he tried to scare them, but ended up getting beaten up. The others tricked the teacher into thinking they had left their things in his classroom. Then he opened the safe, making them happy. They thought that if they defeated him, they could get back what they had lost. They were about to rush in when suddenly the ceiling cage fell from above. Hita was shocked, thinking that there was no way Haruaki could be that smart until he saw the 3 sets of coins. The gift was a bribe from Miki and Hatanaka. Then they understood everything because they wanted to trap us, so the other 2 bribed me to trick them. They thought the big deal had been accomplished, but the twins used magic to escape. They found out that the magic ceiling charm had no effect on the thunder god and the wind god like them. They were high-level demons who used to be gods, but in their previous lives they brought about epidemics and natural disasters, so they were banished to become normal demons. Reading this information from the 100 Demons Universal, me was quite shocked because, on exiled gods turned spirits spark the chase. With a uniform gift, Haruaki works efficiently, using lesser spirits to block paths. But they can't stop the 4, so Hatanaka lets his friend drink to catch them. The wine spirit empowered tracks them down. Hieta panics, forcing the thunder god to unleash dark powers, striking the helpless teacher. Turning him into a lightning rod, his body scorched from the strike, he rings the alarm in panic, making Hatanaka worry and ask Mickey to grab the fire extinguisher. But Mickey's passed out drunk. Soon, everything clears up. The teachers thought they were thieves, so they overreacted, but it was just about reclaiming toys. They promise next time, just ask normally. Just as they think it's over, the fire department arrives, forcing everyone to flee before getting hauled away. By chance, the 3 friends cross paths again. Passing by, seeing them hiding in the bushes, he also understood something, so he told the old man to send some firefighters to arrest the troublemakers at night. After a while, Haruaki suddenly announced to his students that he had been invited to participate in an interview program as the first person to teach at a monster school. He had to show that he was capable or else he would be hated by the whole world. In addition, that documentary program was very famous and everyone knew that the students advised the teacher to decline this invitation. He was so shocked that he fell and hit his head on the board. Question: why? After time with him, they've realized how useless Haruaki is and fear embarrassment on television. It's out of concern for him. Ultimately, it's his call. He wonders if he's okay going on air lacking strengths, timid and obsessed with uniforms. If viewers find out, he might get fired from complaints. Hita felt sorry for him, and the other colorful people stood up and said they would help Haruaki make a banner so that people would see him as a model teacher. After listening to the young man, he was so touched that he didn't expect to be asked to help. The colleague on the other side of the wall also told me, "Don't cause any more trouble next time. It will affect my class." A few days later, the television station's people came to interview the monster director named Aha, who would stand up to be Haruaki's companion, along with his assistant and a few other staff members. Menso is intimidated by that big guy. First, they want to film the teaching sessions, then the club activities in class. The showy kids have everything ready for their big moment. They claim it's to help their homeroom teacher, but secretly they all crave the television spotlight. Mauka notices Yanagida looking slick today and asks to touch, only to find his body is all silk. Yoshiki is lost for words amid the excitement, especially with Hita, who's usually so rude, now acting like a model student on camera. Akium has even groomed himself to look like a noble cat. Just then, teacher Haruaki leads the crew in, kicking off the ultimate performance. The first impression? That massive hole in the board, who knows where it came from? As Haruaki tries to open the textbook, he realizes he left it at home and grabs his cute uniform photo album instead. In a panic, he activates his spiritual power, punching another hole in the wall. Luckily, he borrows a textbook from teacher Hatanaka, saving the shoot. The classroom filming wraps up smoothly. 2 students check on sensei, worried it's all falling apart. Aha flies in, asking about the next lesson to prep the hosting. Today, teacher Hatanaka's class will practice scaring people. He's all serious, but glancing at his misfit group, he's not confident. Haruaki tries to pair up with the students but gets shooed away before he ruins everything. The practice spot is the shopping district in Hongsu, near the Yokai Academy. It'll take 10 hours to get there, so they use the principal's magical door to connect the places instantly. This area's mostly shut down, so it's perfect for ghost scares with few people around. Menso says it's full of humans, but not ideal for victims. Teacher Hatanaka asks why, and Mauka blurts out because he's got no friends and might just get backfired on. Others call him creepy, saying scaring him could backfire. They all agree Menso is pitiful and brings bad luck, so Yukai should stay away. This roast leaves Haruaki fuming but speechless because it's true. The school wants the ghost rumors to spread, so they pick strangers, banning scares on kids or pregnant women to avoid danger. The first pair up is Utagawa and Niwu. They hide and wait for the right target. Just then, 2 jerks walk by, bragging about dumping their girlfriends for new ones. Seeing their trashy behavior, Niwu and his partner decide to teach them a lesson. Utagawa transforms into a beautiful girl to lure them in, then turns into a skeleton, scaring them witless. The one-eyed guy blocks their path for another fright, warning them to never treat girls badly again or else. Teacher Hatanaka is thrilled and gives them high marks. Majina, jealous, pairs up with Hita to outdo them. Still bitter about the one-eyed guy from before, he wants to one-up him. Hita thinks this person is his friend's mom because of the messy hair. They jump out to scare, but it backfires. The old lady pulls out a weapon and chases them like dogs. Turns out, she's a shaman who got tipped off about ghosts here and decides to exorcise them. Majina and Hita run over 10 kilometers to escape her fury. Next up is Mauka and Akium's turn. These 2 are adorable, so when they transform they catch the girl's eyes immediately. Teacher sees this and is speechless, while Hatanaka thinks of assigning more tasks. Sano is next, paired with Haruaki, and he's thrilled. The director loves it, knowing Haruaki with students will grab attention. Hatanaka, cautious, warns Sano something that annoys him. Sano struggles with controlling his Yukai powers, rarely using them in class, as teacher Miki explained. Both Sano and Yoshiki have unstable powers that could kill if not handled right. Haruaki encourages him, promising to use his exorcism strength if needed. Haruaki brings his uniform doll for motivation, activating his spiritual power on sight. That brat kicks him for being foolish anyway. Then, a panting dog and its owner appear. Sano gently activates his powers, but it enrages the dog, who attacks Menso. Seeing the dog's fury, Haruaki bolts, ending up chased and bitten, then hit by a car. He crashes near a girl on the phone, his creepy face scaring her badly. His colleague rushes over, asking if he's okay, but Menso jokes he should get new glasses. Sano thinks they've passed, but Hatanaka rejects it, warning not to injure people next time. As they agree, their clothes rip apart just as a girl walks by, thinking they're perverts and fleeing in terror. The extracurricular lesson ends, and the television folks thank them, hoping for more effort in interviews and club activities. Haruaki asks them to cut the silly parts. The students keep trying to help him, but Sano worries their chaos won't succeed. Now, Haruaki advises the creature club, watering the naughty little Yukai and feeding the fish spirits. Aha learns Haruaki named his mandragora and asks, showing them off confidently. The crew is baffled since the 3 look identical, but Haruaki spots the differences easily. Just then, a group of Duon appears. Hita and his gang's plan is to show Haruaki's good side by disciplining the misbehaving students. Mauka and Sano are baffled, wondering why they're following that fool's lead. Menso plays along, turning into a lamb about to be eaten. According to the script, he must convince them to reform. Hearing, "Don't do this, my dears," Sano facepalms at the lame line. The kids act out, bowing in apology, as if Haruaki's words reformed the delinquents. The television crew joins in, making Sano question if they're all crazy. Mauka spots a missing yukai in Haruaki's group and sees it's in danger. Without hesitation, he jumps in to save it, becoming the victim himself. Luckily, the students react fast, forming a human chain to pull him up safely. This heroic act will surely move viewers to tears, seeing a human risk everything for a yukai. Sano warns Haruaki not to be so reckless next time, or they'll all age from the stress. Menso laughs it off, saying he was scared out of his wits. The next day, all the yukai know about the heroic teacher, Haruaki. Seeing himself on television looking dashing, he brags about it. Overall, thanks to the kids, the interview was a hit, despite the mishaps. Surprisingly, Haruaki's brother Am watches and calls to check in. He's shocked Haruaki teaches at a yukai school and invites him home for their festival. Haruaki plans to go to Osaka next weekend, and overhearing, the students get excited about tagging along for the fun. The next day, Haruaki gets a call from Sano saying he's heading to his house, so come pick them up. Shocked, Haruaki wonders how they knew. If an exorcist spots them, it'll be trouble. Sano doesn't care, insisting on staying just one night. Usually so bossy, he's oddly gentle today, making Haruaki suspicious and asking him to get angry. It backfires, and Sano yells at him like a dog. Soon, the four friends arrive at the station, eating while waiting. Yashiki, looking like a girl, gets harassed, but the others just laugh. Sano is exasperated and tells Hita to save her. As he steps in, a man who looks just like Haruaki shows up and teaches the harassers a lesson. The students are stunned. Teacher Haruaki at home is so badass. His cool demeanor makes Yashiki's heart flutter. Mauka punches the imposter, accusing him of tarnishing Haruaki's innocence. As they argue, the real Haruaki arrives, shocking everyone they're identical twins. Amaki, the brother, is always the tough one. The group gets a ride home, and Haruaki introduces them as his yukai school students. Hita hides in a pot since there's no space. Amaki dislikes yukai and shows it. Mauka asks, and Haruaki explains Amaki has always hated ghosts and monsters. About the outfit, it's a cheap 1,000 yen one from Mom. Their house by the Grand Shrine amazes everyone. He's already told his family, so no issues. Dad's at work, so they'll talk later. As they enter, a pest shows up, and Sensei knocks him out. Mauka is shocked. It's just an unrestful spirit, he says. Mom appears, looking young, stunning everyone. She keeps the family shrine secret so the students aren't scared. Sano knew already, so he's fine. He asks about the knocked out guy, and Mom says it's a house spirit to avoid suspicion. The poor guy is speechless. Inside, Mom is thrilled to have guests. Mauka curiously asks about Sensei's childhood. His personality hasn't changed much. Back then, when Amaki could stand, Haruaki could only crawl, but seeing a uniform, he stood up to grab it. The students are grossed out, realizing his uniform obsession started young. They ask about his job. It's not smooth. He gets poop on his face sometimes and beaten by colleagues. No good memories. Amaki storms in, saying teaching isn't right and demands he quit, throwing out the guests. He insists humans and yukai can't coexist and wants them away from his brother. Yashiki gets harassed at the station, and the group laughs until a Haruaki lookalike saves her. Turns out it's his twin brother, Amaki, who's always the strong one. They get a ride home, and Haruaki introduces his students. Hita hides in a pot. Amaki hates yukai and shows it. Mauka asks, and Haruaki explains. About the outfit, it's cheap from Mom. The house by the shrine is amazing. He's told his family, so no issues. As they enter, a spirit shows up, and Sensei knocks it out. Mauka is shocked. Mom appears, young and surprising. She keeps secrets so students aren't scared. Sano knew. The guy is a house spirit. Inside, Mom's thrilled. Mauka asks about Sensei's childhood. It's similar. When Amaki stood, Haruaki crawled but grabbed a uniform. Students are grossed out. They ask about his job. It's rough. Amaki demands he quit. About the yukai, they asked about the uniform he was wearing, and learned it was bought by his mom for just 1,000 yen, 3 pieces at that, with no real competition in fashion. His house sits right in front of a grand shrine, delighting everyone. He'd already shared the whole story with his mother and family, so all was fine. Dad left for work early, so they'd talk when he returns. He wanted the 4 kids to go inside first, but unexpectedly, the troublesome one appeared. Seeing his son back, the father rushed to hug him, only to be swiftly knocked down by Sensei. Mauka was utterly shocked, never expecting the homeroom teacher to know. When they asked about that person, he simply called it an unrested spirit, so there's no need to worry. The teacher's mother then stepped out, leaving everyone in shock at how young she was. She urged her to keep the family shrine a secret, so the students wouldn't fear. In truth, Sano already knew about it, so he was unfazed. He inquired about the uncle who was knocked down in the street, and the aunt explained it as just a yokai living in the house to avoid suspicion and prevent them from being seen as outsiders. The father was so stunned he couldn't utter a word and headed inside with the aunt. They shared that it's the first time guests have come to play at home like this, so they're overjoyed. Mauka, curious about what Sensei was like as a child, got the full story. In general, his personality hasn't changed much from back then. When Amaki first learned to stand, Haruaki could only crawl, but suddenly seeing a uniform fly out, the little boy stood up and ran to pick it up for someone. This moment shocked everyone. It turns out his fascination with uniforms started in childhood. Out of nowhere, the students found it creepy, wondering about his past life. The teacher has issues with those uniforms. When asked if his son's job is going well, they hesitated to mention that Haruaki sometimes gets bird droppings on his face but never gives up. He's even been hit by colleagues now and then. Overall, there are no fond memories. Hearing this, Amaki stepped in, claiming teaching isn't suitable, and demanded his brother quit. Then, he threw the elderly guest outside, insisting he'd force Haruaki to resign from school because humans and yokai can't coexist, and pleaded for them to stay away from his brother. This made Sano furious. He cleverly pretended he'd bought uniforms but hadn't given them yet. Hearing that, Menno reacted, popping out to ask if it was true. Finding it disgusting, they shut the door and left. The brothers argued, with Amaki saying he was thinking of Menoir if he cares about those students, he should stay away. Then Hita broke in, scaring the older brother witless and knocking him out. Later, the group returned to explain, but Amaki is the type who acts tough outside but fears monsters inside. Back in school, he picked fights to seem strong so no one would bully Haruaki. That's why no one dared be friends with the brothers. It's tough on the homeroom teacher, he didn't do anything wrong but still suffered. The aunt mentioned tonight's temple festival and asked them to watch the stalls, which they agreed to. Haruaki then led them around, exciting everyone. Mauka and Hita volunteered for the shooting game booth. The prizes here look boring, nothing like in the city. The little bean even asked a friend how to make it more appealing. Sano drew circles on the teacher as targets, saying it'll hype up the players. Menno strictly forbade them from using monster magic here. If anyone realizes they're monsters, no one will come back. As night fell, the first customers arrived. The twin brothers and Sano manned a stall, but Amaki didn't trust monsters, so he psyched himself up to help. With the tension rising, Menno decided to buy snacks and asked what they wanted. The student went on listing everything without shame, leaving just the 2. Amaki felt uneasy, thinking about the curse bringing bad luck. If it acts up, it's game over. He wished he had powers like his brother to banish them. Hearing that, Sano was surprised. He thought their family all had such abilities, but from here he learned their clan's spiritual power has faded over generations. Now, few can use it, and the temple is just an ordinary house with no seals. That's why the 4 entered without issues. It's not protected. The mystery deepens. If the power is weakening, how did Haruaki end up so strong? The brother explained that from birth, Haruaki had immense monster exercising power. Once, their father told Amaki about a sealed door holding a powerful monster, warning him never to open it. Grandpa used all his strength to seal it, and only the greatest from ancient times could destroy it fully. But as he spoke, their clumsy dad accidentally knocked it over, releasing the monster for revenge. Amaki was terrified seeing the huge creature it steals souls. Facing it meant doom. Dad fainted from fear, leaving Amaki to grab his soul and flee, but it blocked his path. Just then, Haruaki called from outside, drawn by the strong power. Amaki feared for his brother, but Haruaki's rage activated his abilities, obliterating the monster instantly. The father and son were stunned. From then, they knew Menno had the power of the ancients. The cute brother didn't understand what happened and just pulled his brother to see adorable uniforms on television. Remembering this, Amaki smiled. His silly brother means the world. Sano found it odd that Haruaki only now realizes his own powers and that monsters exist. Their family kept it secret to let him live happily. Every time monsters appeared, Haruaki's power destroyed them before he could notice. Amaki always saw it, but his twin didn't. They even made prayer beads to suppress his strength. If removed, no monster would survive. Sano was baffled why only the teacher is so special. Amaki guessed it might be reincarnation. The Ancient One could have reborn as his brother. Sano didn't believe it, calling it unscientific, but monsters existing is already illogical. He opposed Haruwaki teaching, not because monsters would be destroyed, but because it would hurt Haruwaki and make him blame himself. Sano realized this brother isn't bad, so he reassured him if anything happens, he'll handle it. Haruwaki's power is vast, but it won't affect beings like Sano. If the teacher harms monsters, Sano will stop him. Haruwaki was deeply moved, but Amaki couldn't trust a curse-bearer. Sano urged him to trust his brother instead, support his teaching role, he's trying so hard. If he quits, Haruwaki might never feel confident again. Truly, he's a bit pervy and dramatic, but the students don't hate it because he gives his all. No one mocks true effort. Menno was so touched he hugged them, and they fell into the pool. Haruwaki cried joyfully, promising to try harder to stay at the monster school. Amaki was shocked by his brother's determination. Sano, underwater, got revenge by pinning the teacher down and shocking him, drawing a crowd. The next day, the family saw him off, heartbroken, especially the dad, who got kicked and disowned. Amaki pulled Sano aside, asking him to watch over his brother, and he agreed. As their train left, they rushed in. The students wondered why he returned early, turns out the teacher couldn't wait to be back. Amaki ran alongside, shouting encouragement, they're twins, so he read his lips and felt supported, though it was actually a reminder they boarded the wrong train. The scene shifts to later at the Academy of 100 Ghosts, preparing for the sports festival. Mauka mysteriously got taken by the face stone, worrying everyone. Haruwaki rushed to save him but got pulled in too. Crashing into the equipment storage, they nearly died. Teacher Miki, hearing the noise, checked and saw the comedy, reminding them the prep is exhausting. Will they survive the day? Kurahashi, a future-seeing monster, foresaw Haruwaki teaching in shorts and no shirt after the festival. Sano worried about his eyes, dreading that sight. Days later, the principal announced the sports festival's start, urging serious competition to uphold monster pride. The lowest scoring class vanishes, or rather, their teacher's salary does. Hatanaka protested, as he has 3 kids to feed. Haruwaki, though unconcerned, backed him, calling the principal abusive. The result, salary cuts, and a day in a loincloth. Menno realized Kurahashi's prophecy came true. Not wanting to embarrass his students, he begged the principal. This awkward scene amused other classes. Haruwaki's actions are so unhuman-like. His own students looked serious, wondering what's wrong with the class. They asked Hita if the teacher is okay. She just said it's obvious. They affirmed he'd cause unpredictable trouble. They're bracing for chaos. Later, Haruwaki was tasked with collecting relay themes, easy enough, so he agreed and picked suitable runners. The first leg was for the smallest students, with Mauka as the star comedian. His friends anticipated his performance. At the start, he transformed into someone with strong legs, racing to the finish while others hadn't even begun. No one underestimated his small body anymore. He drew a task and followed it to complete his leg. Mauka ran to Sano, borrowing his body. His close friends asked what the task was. He showed it. Best friend, and Sano is that, so he carried him to the finish. The others found it gross and shooed them away. Next was Yashiki, with Haruwaki cheering. It's all about drawing a simple task, but she got retrieve Excalibur from the volcano seemed impossible. Yet, she ran off and got it, shocking rivals who thought it'd take days. Haruwaki checked the winner's task, it was fine. Mauka kept his paper as a memento. Mauka's opponent drew, bring your secret crush. He hid it and pretended it was lost, tossing it to Mauka, who thought it was trash and picked it up. Hita started last but waited anxiously. When Yashiki arrived with Excalibur, saying she ran to the dorm to get it from a past trip, the opponent was floored. Hieta started and got threatened if he shrinks, he's done. Others struggled with their tasks, giving him a chance. He drew, run with the classmate you secretly hate. He froze, cursing the one who wrote it. Desperate not to lose, he used process of elimination. Girls were out, and picking anyone meant backlash. Yashiki, his childhood friend, was tough but understanding, though her family adores her. Mauka and Sano are kind, so not them. Nudu and others share rooms, all good people. He saw Mauka's paper and cheated, asking for it. Turns out it was best friend. He grabbed it, misunderstanding, and ran with Sano. Others were still fighting tasks. Haruwaki cheered, boosting Hieta, who nicknamed himself Mud Storm. Sano thought he was crazy, but they won first. Sano checked the task. Hieta's secret crush is Sano, shocking everyone. The announcement confirmed it. Hita realized his mistake, creating distance with Sano. Maybe keeping the old was better than this crush mess. Mino laughed heartily, earning a punch from Sano. Hieta tried explaining, begging to stay friends, not Lovish's heart broke from the misunderstanding. The games continued, but Haruwaki's class didn't win this one, disappointing him. Nudu and Utagawa asked about cavalry lineup. Based on his knowledge, Haruwaki arranged the strongest team. Miki spied on rivals but got chased. Seeing Haruwaki's seriousness, he decided to go all out. Hatanaka asked why he's so excited the sports festival is more thrilling than ever. The highlight is the second-year cavalry battle, where teams of 4 or 5 steal headbands using abilities. Combining powers gives the edge. Points are based on stolen bands. Haruwaki's class followed his strategy. Ota turned giant, protecting friends by swallowing them, securing points but isolating the team. Haruwaki said Ota's group is defensive since they're not athletic. The second team is fast. Sano, Akiem, and Yanagida. Mauka acts as the sneaky arm to steal bands safely. In his heart because he was too foolish. The games continued with various events, but Haruwaki's class didn't win this one, disappointing the teacher. Nudu and Yutakawa later asked about the cavalry lineup for the class, based on his knowledge. Menno arranged it logically to create the strongest warriors. Miki seized the chance to scout the enemy's plans but got chased away. Seeing Haruwaki's seriousness, he decided to go all out with his friend. Hatanaka noticed this sports festival is more exciting than ever. The most anticipated event is the second-year cavalry battle. Classes will split into groups of 4 or 5, using individual yokai powers to steal headbands from others. So, forming the right lineup is key, especially combining powers. Points are based on headbands stolen per class, then totaled. Utagawa's team crushed opponents, giving Haruwaki's class the lead. They just needed to recover the fast team's points. Maeda asked for a swamp, but Hita felt sick and vomited on him, forcing their team out and affecting allies. Haruwaki couldn't sit still, his class was losing. Even rivals wished him well, but mocked him. The principal revealed another team, Yashiki's invisible group, reclaiming points. Haruwaki explained Yashiki used invisibility to sneak attacks. Though Mauka and Hita fell, she turned the tide. The principal admired his tactics and considered a raise, but pocketed it instead. Incredibly awesome, flying and launching wide attacks that engulfed everything in mud. Other flying yokai saw this and swarmed in to reclaim points. Maeda, being a fish person, dodged expertly, and with Momoyama and Aki's flying skills, they dominated completely. Alliances formed across classes to corner them. At the critical moment, Hita got seasick and couldn't attack. Luckily, Yutakawa's team arrived, shifting into a white fox spirit to crush the opponents into the ground temporarily. Sano helped hold the ladder as Haruwaki climbed. He joked about getting zapped if he descended. Sano rushed, as he's the third runner and wants to win. He warned not to cry if they lose, but Haruwaki trusted him. Sano asked for 500,000 yen for a mysterious bottle promising happiness. Haruwaki doubted, but agreed, not wanting him broke. Sano reminded him to watch for tricks. Suddenly, a student knocked over the lift, dropping Haruwaki. Though not fatal, it triggered disasters. The student pushed wood off him but fell, getting crushed. Hatanaka was heartbroken, still handled it all coolly, impressing the homeroom teacher. The principal admired his strategy in leading and utilizing each student's abilities, so he deserved a raise, but decided to pocket it himself. The cavalry event ended, and Haruwaki's class ranked 3rd overall. The point gap with the top 2 was just 40. If they nailed the relay obstacle race, they could still claim first. The teacher wasn't worried, knowing Sano runs fast. Suddenly, Hatanaka asked if his friend had fetched stuff from the storage for him. Haruwaki was so caught up in fun that he forgot, so he got scolded. Enjoy yourself, but don't neglect your duties and affect others. To save Sano, he had to help the teacher. He held the ladder while the teacher climbed for items. The teacher feared getting hit if he descended, so he was nervous. Just kidding, but Sano was in a rush for his own. Sano was exasperated, reminding the teacher to watch for fire traps. Suddenly, disaster struck when a student accidentally knocked over the ladder, sending Menno falling. Though not fatal, it triggered a chain of events. Seeing massive logs crashing toward Haruwaki, the student risked everything to push them away but tripped, getting crushed under 2 tons. Teacher Hatanaka arrived, heartbroken and speechless. Menno was frozen in shock. Each faced challenges, but Akiem overcame his weakness. Yanagida, as paper, flew through but got blown by wind. He used explosives to clear it, helping rivals and frustrating him. Always, but luckily, as a yokai he held on to his wits. That teacher tried to use the fox spirit's magic to split the log, but Haruwaki snatched it away. Seeing his beloved student in such peril, Menno lost his composure. His power surged wildly, hurling those logs into the sky before rushing Sano to the infirmary. This dramatic scene shocked everyone. Later, the doctor diagnosed a sprain from a slip, with his body intact and unharmed. Haruwaki blamed himself for endangering his student, while Mauka worried deeply. He hugged him tightly, crying endlessly. Though he couldn't join the competition anymore, this was a relief. Sano advised the teacher to stop acting like a fool. He's clearly human, yet turning into mush is just weird magic. He even planned to continue his own event, but Nudu stopped him. fearing worse injury that could affect the future. For the relay race with obstacles, it was the 3 yokai types first, the beast class, then the object class, and finally, it's the humanoid class, just like Sano. Takahashi reassured, "Don't worry, if anything happens, I'll fix his leg." Hearing that, Sano was terrified and gave up his spot to find a replacement. Right after, the animal yokai lined up. Menno's class chose Akium since he's a cat and would handle running and obstacles better than others. Surprisingly, teacher Nezumi's class had no one suitable, so he stepped in himself. Since Bibegre Academy doesn't ban teachers from competing, Akium led but got distracted. Sano's reminder woke him. The course was a beast's hell, but he resisted. Small, silver tree and cat hobbies didn't matter, her friends cheered wildly. Seeing this, they scolded that brainless fool. Sano realized it was the log that had crushed him before, so the cat boy snapped awake, smashing the obstacle in revenge. Thankfully, each contestant faced challenges up front, so the distance wasn't too far for him to catch up. This was the hellish playground for Class Beast. Though Akium desperately wanted to stay and play, he fought his urges, closing his eyes and dashing from the foxtail fields with sheer determination. Haruaki tackled the human challenge, climbing the stairs with determination, fueled by his students' uniforms. The wind swept him away, but he was always ready for such twists. As paper, he knew his weakness to being blown easily, so the paper player pulled out a special explosive vial from the science club. Watching this, nearby kids panicked and ran. Yanagi simply needed 1 drop of explosive to blast the obstacle away. Yet, this became a boost for other teams to surge ahead. Seeing that, he was frustrated but relied fully on. The homeroom teacher turned out to be the one who replaced Sano. He wanted to win and save himself. Everyone knew that the human teacher would take the final exam and they were shocked, thinking that humans were not old enough to defeat monsters, but the truth was completely different. With his determination, Haruaki wanted to make it up to Sano by winning black. Every obstacle in front of him was an obstacle reserved for monsters. This was no different than forcing people to climb a vertical tower. He also turned on the screen, crying because he knew that overcoming 1,000 steps like this was impossible. While everyone saw failure coming, suddenly Sano thought of a way to succeed. It needed the solidarity of the whole class. After telling everyone found it reasonable but quite embarrassing. Sano knew that the homeroom teacher had an unimaginable power. If he used it, he could definitely overcome it. Akium was the first to agree with this plan because he tried very hard. He couldn't lose here. It's true that he saw that he was a bit tearful and is a perverted, incompetent guy who sees his own principles as if they never existed. However, he is still a good teacher who stands up and guides me step by step to learn. Nudu has no choice but to follow and call the others and prepare together. The principal comes over and thinks that Sano is planning to let Haruaki activate his demon-slaying power. This is too dangerous, especially since there are many parents of the students here. If something happens, it will definitely cause a disaster. He laughs and says he doesn't know, but he appears extremely confident. So the principal didn't stop Miki and Hatanaka from being surprised. They couldn't grasp the thoughts of the young people. Well, they had to ask the other teachers to be alert to the dangers. At this time, Haruaki was still having trouble with the 1,000-step staircase. He thought that if he couldn't jump over it, he had to try to climb it and not give up. He was in high spirits. Suddenly, he saw a group of students, each wearing a different uniform to cheer him on. Haruaki was even more excited. This scene made him only see it vaguely. Who would have thought that there would be? The day Yashiki wore a skirt but no pants received love from the kids. Haruaki's power increased suddenly. The other class saw this and found it funny and laughed, although it was a bit humiliating, but it was all for the common desire, so the boys still had to try to respond to that without using spiritual power. But the teacher was still able to run like a Superman to the finish line. Witnessing that action, the whole school couldn't laugh anymore, but had to watch the respond. The human teacher's performance. This is the power that Sano was talking about, the condition of stimulation. Haruaki must see those uniforms he loves. The other teachers couldn't believe their eyes. Who knew the weak teacher could be so strong, even as a human? At this rate, he'll surely take first place. The principal felt foolish for worrying. All the teachers laughed at themselves for fearing Haruaki's exercising power. The devil's second, ghost third, but students are the worst, they joked. With terrifying speed, the homeroom teacher crossed the finish line first, despite being far behind the obstacles. Quite far at the first obstacle without even celebrating. He ran to take pictures of the students to save the scenes that seemed to only appear in the blur. Sano found it too disgusting to kick him to help him wake up. Mauka happily ran to hug him and said the teacher was so good, he even finished first. The scene changed to the next day, just like Kurahashi foresaw. Haruaki had to wear a loincloth to class to teach, even though he won the mid-game at the sports festival too. Explain this. He told the story of yesterday. The parents Finding the class too perverted, he reported it to the principal. As the homeroom teacher, Menno got pulled in for punishment. Still, they won glory, so Hita treated everyone to grilled meat, with Haruaki footing the bill for making the boys endure wearing girls' uniforms yesterday to cheer. Shifting scenes to a while later, Sano arrived at school today, receiving tons of gifts from girls since his birthday is coming, including from his crush Momo. Haruaki saw the girl peeking and asked what was going on. Who would have thought that she would run away and then someone would knock her out? Mauka heard a strange sound and ran over to check but didn't see anything unusual. Later, when it was time for class, Aki arrived. Luckily, he was still in time. The homeroom teacher came in, but there was something very strange. He suddenly shouted at the students to sit in their normal seats. Mi was very gentle, so Endu thought he had lost his mind today. Mauka and Sano looked at him and knew right away that this was the imposter, or rather, the doppelganger of Haruaki, the older brother who was afraid of ghosts, but extremely kind. They also pulled this old man out to ask where the homeroom teacher was, Yashiki and Hieta, because last time they met Amaki, so they were also called here. Little Bean believes that this big brother was too worried about a little brother, so he just disappeared. Noi came here to investigate that little guy. Hieta thought Haruaki changed his position with him to visit the school, but it wasn't Amaki who called earlier. I knocked up my little brother and locked him in the bathroom with his uniform, so it was fine thanks to that. Haruaki won't be able to go anywhere but will stay there until. Release him and ask them to cover for him. Don't let anyone know. Wanting to see his twin brother's work, since last time he didn't hear much, they begged like that. Sano reluctantly agreed to help. First, to avoid suspicion, he lied that the homeroom teacher lost his memory today. Yanagida believed it, knowing Haruaki could revive from explosions. Nudu was suspicious, asking how memory loss related to personality change. Sano was stumped, saying it was probably from, "You're too nosy, so your voice changed too." Since Haruaki always causes trouble, they believed Utakawa was a girl for now. She finally arrived, saying she was busy rescuing the kitten, so she was late. Back at her seat, exhausted from running, she transformed back into a white fox spirit, scaring Amaki half to death. Why fear ghosts and still attend a yokai school? Sano was at a loss, wondering how long they could hide this. The teacher acted tough, saying he was fine and started the lesson. Start a few students. Lately, quite dear teacher advised him to think of a way to find his memories, is better than that. Suddenly came up with the idea of uniforms to awaken his inner self. This girl is called Ni Kao. Female demon has 2 mouths with different personalities. The front mouth speaks very gently and easy to listen to, but the back mouth was born to curse people, so don't like them. Confident when seeing his winter uniform, teacher will remember all black. Only Amaki has no interest in these items, like the brother, so he showed no interest, leaving the class terrified. This memory loss seemed worse than they thought. How could Haruaki ignore uniforms like that? The class demanded he go to the hospital before it's too late. Later, the 4 reminded Amaki to act better, or his true face would be exposed. While peeing, Yanagida flew in, claiming he invented a memory-restoring drug for the teacher. Knowing how dangerous he is, the friend stopped him. Ironically, on of the drink or else roll around there, then die Sano, then pour the medicine on the cloth, turn Yanagida into shit, then put it in the fake toilet outside it. Asked the older brother if he was familiar with the demons, yet this was necessary to be able to imitate Haruaki, because that old man was very close to the students outside. Koizumi unfortunately fell down the stairs. This little one is a long-neck demon quite born. Mauka asked her friend if she was okay, then found out her leg was sprained, hearing that the fake teacher also came to pick up the student, making the little girl panic. Grab her, also use the neck strangle. The opponent thinking that Amaki is planning something depraved, he explains that he is a teacher and must be responsible. Amaki, although very scared but still tell herself girl, just her neck is longer than normal, there is no need to grab her, keep calm, then suddenly too tired so fall down, causing both of them to get injured. Sano look so also helpless, suddenly have to take another person to the medical room later after waking up Amaki. I must admit that teaching is really tiring. I don't understand how my younger brother can still endure. The whole class was there, mourning the unlucky teacher. That's when he realized how much his students loved Haruaki. The boys heard about the teacher's fainting and came with gifts. The 3 colleagues still didn't recognize the imposter as Haruaki, so they visited too. Plus, the little yokai from the garden that Mino cares for showed up. Amaki was satisfied, thinking no more investigation was needed. His brother was cherished this much. He asked Sano to keep the secret. Today with Haruaki. Right after, they went to rescue the teacher locked in the bathroom. He was still grinning foolishly, so he must be okay. Seeing he hadn't pulled up his pants, they kicked him for being gross. In the afternoon, Menno noticed Momomo looking sad and asked, apologizing for scaring her this morning. The backmouth cursed the teacher harshly, making the student worry. Haruaki said he didn't mind those words, so don't fret. This girl wants to give a gift to the boy, but not knowing what to do. Momomo shared the sports festival story. After Hita vomited on her, Sano helped, so she wants to repay him and admits she likes him, but he's popular with girls, so she lacks the courage. The teacher felt proud of having such a kind friend who's liked by many. Yanagida flew over, saying he overheard their chat and pulled out a new perfume product. He introduced that just spraying it'll surely double the charm. Hearing that, the other two trustingly give it a try, but oh no, it smells like foul waste. They find out this perfume is made from the dung and urine of the river monster, no wonder it's revolting. The teacher and student are totally shocked, realizing Yanagida has no nose so he couldn't smell the nasty stench. Haruaki fumes and curses like a pro, yelling, "How can someone without a nose make perfume?" Then Nudu and Hita arrive, asking if the teacher is okay, but after catching a whiff of that waste smell from Date No Bastard people. Their friend goes wild. Instantly turns out Yanagida's strong perfume works wonders, successfully drawing in all the boys. Even the mud creature shows up to confess, complimenting her beauty, but it's all so gross from behind. The one-eyed youth stays clear-headed and runs off with the other two before things get worse. The whole pack of boys is targeting that cheeky scarf. Later, they explain that this perfume probably attracts male monsters. After hearing that, Nudu, after this mess, it'll turn into a cheap wipe for the table. The reason Haruaki isn't affected is because he's human. They manage to run a bit before getting herded into a dead end with no escape. Desperate, Men has to summon Sano with the incantation, "Save me." The scene shifts to Min's twin brother, who's already at the harbour. He thought he was tight with the plague god, but no one shows up to see him off. Sano steps in to protect the teacher and asks what's going on. Once he learns Yanagida caused trouble again, he wants to transform his friend. It becomes a real mess. Nudu relies on the plague god to use magic to hold back those lust-crazed fools. Hearing that, the young man tries it too, but it only rips their clothes to shreds. Haruaki thinks this might be even more dangerous than before and asks Yanagida if there's any way to fix it. He's advised to wash off the foul waste smell. Right now, the school pool is under renovation, so the biggest water source must be that aquarium Men often visits. He calls the little spirits to bring the fish tank out to the yard. By now, the boys in school have surrounded the two, definitely double the appeal. Hearing that, the two trusted and tried it, but it smelled like filth. Asking around, they learned this perfume was made from yokai waste and urine, so of course it's rank. Hearing that, the teacher and student were shocked, realizing Yanagida has no nose, so he couldn't smell the nastiness. Haruaki cursed his student harshly. Momo and Hita came to check on the teacher, but after sniffing the stench, giving back one as a return gift. Sano liked that it had Mauka's tanuki shape, so he accepted it right away. But when he opened it, the handkerchief was triangular, shocking Momomo like a lightning strike. It was her underwear. Turns out, yesterday she grabbed the wrong thing in haste. The friends above witnessed this unique gift exchange and felt jealous. In school, only the plague god gets such special undies. Hita wondered if Mickey got distracted by women, while Sano faced clones of Haruaki. Chaos ensued as they fought back. Asking about his preferences in girls, she saw he was more into playing with Mauka than romance. Speaking of love, Utakawa recently turned down some handsome guys from the next class. She pretended she wasn't thinking about dating but hid her crush on Nudu. Hearing that, the others were shocked. What does he have that a white fox spirit adores? Suddenly, Jumi recalled being carried by Amaki and felt the joy. Then, they overheard the boys chatting with the teacher. Homeroom teacher has a private bath in the staff area, but Haruaki prefers bonding with his students. Yashiki wondered if the boys were gossiping about nonsense, since everything here would be overheard. First time seeing Hita with one eye, and he complimented the homeroom teacher's size. This set the girls buzzing with excitement. That tiny girl turned out to have a modest treasure below, showing envy toward the teacher. Yashiki, unlike others, was curiously wondering how big M's was, with friends bragging about it, saying, boys wanted to climb up for a peek, so Momo stepped in to stop it, saying she also wanted to see Sano's lower part. Okay, let's all keep this secret. The others followed suit, leaving Utakawa feeling isolated for not holding back her emotions. In the end, she transformed into a massive white fox spirit, spotting Nudu's treasure along with the group. Finally, Utakawa claimed an overwhelming victory, making the other girls jealous. She had to admit she'd seen those wild elephants, but she was only thrilled with Nudu. As for the teachers and Sano, whether theirs was big or the little one wasn't sure if the boys nearby heard it all, so they were utterly shocked. Later, When she stepped outside and spotted Yutakawa, Menno dashed away in embarrassment. Nudu shyly admitted, "No matter what, I still trust her." When asked, the boys confessed they'd heard everything. Who knew she'd love peeking at others like that? Yutakawa tried to explain it was because of Yashiki and Momo's teasing, but even jumping into the Yellow River wouldn't wash away that guilt. A few days later, as teacher Hatanaka prepared for class, he suddenly discovered several raven feathers felt like bad omens were coming. Just as he said that, the teacher was kidnapped by a yokai without anyone noticing. At Haruaki's place, he was watching the news with teacher Miki. Recent yokai animal kidnappings for fur have spiked, and Takahashi's clinic is flooded with patients, all shaved bald. The bad guys are polite though, returning victims safely. Hearing this, Mino was shocked. In this world, yokai world has had strange incidents like this. His colleague confirmed it's a dangerous time now. Then he asked if it was like how Miki tricks women, making him furious. He claimed he's innocent, not like what Haruaki thinks, and he's never had a girlfriend to trick anyone. Hearing that, the other guy was shocked. Such a handsome face, yet they're the same. From then, their bond grew as tight as shadows. Miki acted vulnerable, telling his friend, "If I run into bad guys, remember to use your yokai exercising strength to protect me, Haruaki." Thinking Sano is way stronger than him, why not ask for his help? But Sano showed up, saying, as if a teacher would let a student protect them. He also asked the homeroom teacher if he'd seen Mauka anywhere. She's been missing since the lunch break. Miki wondered why this is teacher Hatanaka's class time, yet here he is. 2 other friends arrived, saying the teacher never showed up to class, and they've searched everywhere, but found nothing. Suddenly, the television announced kidnappings all happening at 2 p.m., matching the exact time Mauka and Hatanaka vanished. They instantly realized the kidnappers had taken them both. As yokai from the beast class, they were fired up. Sano leaped out the window to search. Seeing that, Haruaki followed, but realizing it was the 3rd floor, he panicked in terror. Luckily, he didn't die. Miki asked Nudu to call the police, while she'd trail the 2 boys to find them. Meanwhile, Mauka had woke up trapped in a cage with the teachers, and many other victims too. Akium wondered who did this when the 3 Skydog gang members appeared. They introduced themselves as villains who shave fur. Just then, a team member spotted the intruders as Haruaki's group. The captives, seeing rescue, were thrilled. The captain ordered the secretary to set a trap for them, buying time to shave the secretary. The story closed with strengthened friendships, as Haruaki proved his worth as a teacher. No one else is left. The little yokai angrily scolded Miki for real. He was furious, not understanding why everyone calls him a heartbreaker when he hasn't even tasted romance. Just as he finished, a group of sisters appeared out of nowhere. Masumo couldn't believe how many stunning, leggy women were here. He realized this guy must be obsessed with women. Miki admitted his family has 5 older sisters, so it's no wonder he's scared they always make him do chores, explaining why he's still single. He was attacked by those beautiful older women were terrified too. Nearby, Sano and Kazuo heard the screams and guessed someone had been caught. Weird things like this happened to him too. With a horde of Haruakis appearing, a single teacher was bad enough. Now a crowd left him stunned. The culprit was a kidnapper member. The captain saw this and ordered his deputy to shave teacher Hatanaka, wondering why they needed his fur. The young secretary showed a price list, saying they'd sell. Haruaki's group triumphed, turning fear into courage and solidifying their epic bond. Seeing those misbehaving students, Mino was terrified of that kind of scene and didn't dare approach. It seems one of the 3 kidnappers' magic makes fears in their minds come to life. But he didn't account for Haruaki's exercising strength. Little Noriko encouraged the teacher to toughen up, asking how long he'd stay weak. Isn't he aiming to be an amazing teacher? If so, face the hardships and remind them. Hearing that, he followed through, asking the 2 to come out, resulting in them threatening. In a surge of fear, his inner spiritual power erupted, wiping out the captor's dark magic completely. Thanks to this, teacher Miki and Sano were freed. The captain, witnessing it all, realized this man was his old friend from years ago. The illusion creator appeared, praising Haruaki for masterfully dispelling the heavenly dog's cursate was truly epic. He stepped closer, asking what power Haruaki had used, but Haruaki tensed, knowing this was the kidnapper. Falling into his grasp might leave not even a single hair intact. He tried to trick the enemy, claiming he was a worker at this chemical factory, but got exposed since it was an abandoned candy plant. In the end, the villain learned Haruaki was a teacher at the Spirit Academy, yet wondered why a human like him had such power. He was grabbed by the throat next, but the captain stepped in, blocking his secretary and revealing Haruaki as his friend, leaving Haruaki utterly confused. The masked one chuckled, noting Haruaki's demon exercising strength was as strong as ever, shocking him deeply. On the other side, Mauka had escaped and was fleeing, with teacher Hatanaka nearly forgetting his iron-cutting abilities as a spirit guardian. The three wandered aimlessly, knowing capture meant more than just fur being shaved. They could end up as dinner. Hearing this, Aki broke into tears, his dreams still unfulfilled. He shared his wish to become a pet with a girlfriend and live happily, but it sounded so bleak that his teacher had to step in. He needed to straighten out his student's mindset. Mauka asked if he'd shared that silly dream with anyone, knowing he hadn't, as it might get him killed by the tanuki. Aki asked Mauka if he'd become a pet when Sano married, given their close bond, but the little one confidently replied that Sano only slept with him and wouldn't love anyone else. Distracted, they got caught, and Mauka's cry of fear summoned Sano, who charged in, taking down the foes and freeing his friend. Mickey was there too, so they were safe for now, embracing in joyful relief, thinking they had escaped a total fur shave that would have been hilarious. The enemy was dazed but fought back, using magic to summon stone faces to chase them. It was just a basic heavenly dog trick. The vice-captain demanded they hand over the furry creatures, promising to spare Mickey, but she shot back that if it saved her life she'd hand them over, yet the wine ghost without wine was useless, and the plague god could only tear clothes, leaving everyone in peril. With no options, Mickey stood to block them, muttering that a sip of wine would make this foe no match. Seeing this, the enemy created more stone faces. Meanwhile, Haruaki explained to the captors that he was a descendant of the first guardian, not the person they thought. The masked one invited him to join their side, saying his demon exercising power was perfect for mischief, especially since serving under that grumpy principal was a waste of talent. Just as he finished, the principal appeared, having lived in the same era as the masked one. Haruaki rushed to hug his friend, only to be kicked away like trash. The principal demanded the foe stop tempting his subordinate and stirring up trouble like a common thief. It was embarrassing. The masked one laughed, saying he'd do this forever if it meant fun, but he couldn't stand someone obsessed with the first guardian more than himself, shifting the atmosphere dramatically and making Haruaki uneasy. That comment changed everything, heightening the tension. Above, cornered, Sano activated his magic. He hated involving others, but Mauka's trust empowered him. Darkness fell, causing pipes to collapse and separate them, leaving those below to bear the consequences despite doing nothing wrong. Luckily, they were tough enough to survive. Seeing his comrades in danger, the enemy rushed to save them, securing Sano's group as the Heavenly Dog Pack fled before the police arrived. By then, Haruaki's students had arrived, their eyes like daggers aimed at the kidnappers. It was impressive they dared touch those they cherished, but the students looked fierce. The secretary used magic to escape. The next day, Aki saw no news of their heroic deeds in the papers and felt bitter, but in the chaos, he stole the wallets of the masked one and the bespectacled one as revenge, handing them to Haruaki. Turns out, the secretary was a student from this very school, greeting Haruaki again. He introduced himself as Karasuma, the one they had cared for yesterday. He tried to steal Haruaki's wallet but found only loose change, so he threw it back. After their failure, they abandoned the fur-shaving plan, bringing temporary peace. The scene shifted to a sweltering summer day when Haruaki's class went on an outdoor field trip. It was an island camping site, exciting everyone except teacher Hatanaka, who had to chaperone this wild group. He reminded them time was short, as the ghost-scaring test would soon begin. Haruaki was surprised, thinking it was a rest day. They were taken to the old spirit academy for a practical exam, and inside Haruaki worried spirits might appear. The others just shrugged, pointing out spirits were everywhere anyway. Though abandoned, the place was clean enough for a stay. He recalled the neighboring class visited last week and returned looking pale as ghosts. Inside, they were divided into boys and girls to avoid youthful romances. Teacher Hatanaka outlined the rules, noting facilities like bathrooms were available. The guys teased the girls not to peek, but got scolded harshly. As night fell, Haruaki gathered his students for a chat before bed, asking who had a girlfriend. None did, turning the atmosphere awkward. Hita swore he'd have one next year, but Haruaki got beaten by his colleagues for touching that sore spot. For the upcoming test, they dragged Haruaki away, ordering the students to sleep or face kisses from Miki. Later, Aki needed to go but feared ghosts, so he woke his friend. The tanuki agreed easily, puzzled that a spirit like him still feared ghosts. Just as he said that, they spotted a figure, startling them it was just a classmate, not a spectre. Renzu was exasperated, seeing them hugging in the night, waiting for Utagawa who had been in the bathroom for an hour. The one-eyed boy worried about his crush, so while Aki used the bathroom, he chattered non-stop, afraid his friend might vanish. Renzu went to check and disappeared too, panicking the tanuki. At first, he thought they were hiding to scare him, but entering, bloody hands appeared, terrifying him. After finishing, he found no one, and a ghost vanished, leaving him shaken. Outside, footsteps approached, and as a cat, he bolted to the teacher's room for help. Haruaki, asleep, woke to a cat on him and panicked. His students arrived, reporting classmates missing over 10 boys and girls. Teacher Hatanaka's announcement blared that the test had started. Some had felt fear, but more thrills awaited. Former students here were scaring them, and the goal was to avoid capture. To win, one must grab the key and escape, and since Haruaki was here, he could help. They protested, saying he'd just be a burden, but got scolded if all were caught, they'd lose and spend summer in extra classes. That terrified them, so they vowed to win and have fun. The deadline was dawn, so they split into groups to find the key. Haruaki's team included Sano, Aki, and Fuji, who dressed like a girl he claimed it was a hobby. Suddenly, a female ghost appeared. Haruaki checked his spirit book and saw it was a black-toothed spirit, but before it could act, Fuji's ice froze it solid. Snow women were powerful, freezing with a breath. Intrigued by Fuji, Haruaki wondered why a snow woman acted like a boy. Downstairs, another group faced mannequins chasing them. Being cowards, they fled to the infirmary and met Dr. Takahashi, a former student from a century ago, with 3 nurse aides. Realizing they were trapped, the nurses revealed their true forms, terrifying them. They became the first captured, enduring physical and mental torment. Mauka heard about it and panicked. Only 11 remained. Yanagida assured them he'd blow up the building if needed. Suddenly, he was hit by magic, creating a copy of himself, confusing everyone as both claimed to be real. The little one suggested launching them into space. One showed fear, the other bragged, revealing the real Yanagida. Mauka tried to burn the fake, but was stopped. Instead, they used an explosive, accidentally blowing up the real one too, ending their game. They regretted not dealing with the real one, first they was too dangerous. Nearby, Yashiki's team planned to raid the broadcast room, but Odawara pointed out the window the night parade of 100 demons was attacking. Sasuke found it exciting, but Hita pulled her to run, yet the ox-drawn cart spirit caught them, swearing revenge for taking his future girlfriend. The announcement confirmed their capture. Only 4 students and 1 useless teacher left, shocking everyone. Just then, the Tanuki returned, scaring Aki, but he explained his lucky escape. He felt sad about being left behind, and the one-eyed boy apologized, admitting he was chased too. No key clues yet, so Haruaki suggested the scarers might not have it. Perhaps a teacher did. The Tanuki analyzed that teachers wouldn't go that far, making Haruaki suspicious of him. Sano couldn't confirm, but teacher Nezumi appeared with the key, taunting them to chase. As a cat, Aki attacked the rat, but he dodged effortlessly. Haruaki teased his student for being too green to catch the Zodiac's finest. Fuji blew cold smoke, freezing the teacher, and Aki snatched the key. It was fake, just chocolate. Enraged, Fuji kicked him into the ceiling, leaving everyone baffled. After searching, Haruaki led them downstairs, but bloody hands emerged, targeting Sano with a female ghost in uniform. Haruaki was mesmerized. Ghosts in uniforms thrilled him like never before. The others saw only hands and ran as dawn approached, signaling the test's end. Aki was caught first, but Fuji fought back, yet a sticky substance ensnared Haruaki. Fuji urged him to flee, saying his rescue would be pointless otherwise. Aki stayed despite fear, and luck smiled when Hita arrived, creating a bog to sink their pursuers. It was his revenge. He asked about the key. They had none. More spirits came, so Haruaki and Fuji held them off, urging the others to escape with the precious time. Sano realized something was off from teacher Hatanaka's words and Haruaki's actions, deducing he was the key to victory. With the swamp ghost and snow woman's help, they defeated the demon army, but no one had the key, frustrating Fuji. As dawn broke, Sano grabbed the teacher, demanding the key, surprising everyone. Haruaki was glad his students shone, explaining later they won by opening the door. Aki scratched him, wanting answers. Sano pieced together Haruaki's subtle hints. He noticed Haruaki checking his pocket, likely for the key. The Tanuki exposed the imposter as Officer Yamazaki, a former student disguised to confuse. He warned Haruaki about his pervy behavior, threatening a cell if it continued. The officer explained his role and bowed for help. Outside, teacher Hatanaka praised Haruaki's support, asking who he was talking to on the stairs. No one, they said, just hands. They realized Haruaki was haunted, and Aki shared his bathroom scare, confirming real ghosts were at play. Days later, Haruaki was exhausted from visiting families, nearly eaten by Renzu's mom. Similar chaos at Maida's, even a baby bullied him. Today, he visited Mauka, asking the Tanuki and Sano to come. They agreed, as Sano had never been. They arrived at a massive mansion, shocking Haruaki that such a small boy lived in such grandeur. Mauka said it was for his many siblings. Inside, pressure mounted as underlings welcomed the young master, all looking like tough mobsters, even making Sano uneasy. They learned it was the Wild Dog Alliance's base, spanning vast lands, leaving Haruaki calling Mauka young master in fear. The family gathered, having heard of Haruaki the perv teacher and Sano the handsome friend. Mauka boasted of Haruaki's power, silencing doubts. His dad worried if a human could protect his kids, but his mom was stricter, demanding proof. Haruaki tried to stay composed as they tested him. Mauka revealed past teachers escaped by blackmailing his dad over his visits to red light districts. Haruaki threatened to tell his wife, panicking him and earning respect, though with threats to protect Mauka. He's surprised how I knew and asks, "I say it's cat intuition and we're so close, there's no way you'd act cold." Turns out, it's Officer Yamazaki, the one who arrested Haruaki before. He reveals he's also a school alumnus, posing as the one-eyed guy to spread chaos. He even threatens Haruaki about that foolish hand-chasing stunt, "Do it again, and I'll reserve a cell just for you. Invite Haruaki to visit any time, and that warms my heart with a smile." Then, we all head out to wake up the captured friends. Teacher Hatanaka praises his colleague for perfectly supporting the team, but then asks who Haruaki was talking to on the stairs, making him jump in surprise. Miki quickly says, "What girl in uniform? There's none here." The others insist they only saw floating hands back then. From this, Haruaki realizes he's truly been haunted, and Akisem shares his own scare of being chased by feet while peeing, while the former students swear no one like that exists, proving they're both cursed. They were really haunted. A few days later in class, Haruaki looks utterly exhausted, worrying his students who ask what's wrong. He reveals the grueling visits to his students' homes yesterday alone. He nearly got eaten by Renju's mom. Something similar happened at Maida's house, where even a newborn bullied him. Luckily, today's just a visit to Mauka's, so Haruaki thinks it'll be fine. The two outside are asked by their teacher to escort him to the little one's house, and they've agreed. They agree because Sano's never been there before. The young man is thrilled to finally bring his two closest school friends home. Upon arrival, they see a massive mansion that could make birds crash. Haruaki wonders how someone so small has such a huge house, and she explains it's because of all the siblings. Inside, the two feel intense pressure as Mauka's subordinates, all looking like tough gangsters, welcome the young master back, even making Sano uneasy. From the nearby sign, they learn this house is a hub for many monsters, like Bean's Alliance, explaining why their land spreads so wide. The teacher, scared stiff, calls the little one young master, confusing him. Now, the whole family comes out to greet them, having heard so much about these two. They guess one's the perverted teacher and the other's the handsome Sano, Mauka's best friend, he says on their side. Under me, there are up to 30 siblings, boys and girls alike, because my mom once gave birth to about 10 at a time. They all introduce themselves, but Haruaki only remembers Beans' name. This little sister is probably the smartest in the pack, so she's been chosen as the next leader. Though only 3 years old, she's already ordering her siblings to welcome guests outside. Suddenly, those two want to leave right away, terrified of meeting Mauka's parents amid the overwhelming pressure, surrounded by claws and swords everywhere. Learning that their son's homeroom teacher is human, Bean's dad isn't too thrilled and wonders if Haruaki can teach monsters like other teachers. Bean scolds her dad, saying Haruaki is incredibly badass, and comparing him to normals would shame them. Though stung, Haruaki pretends he's fine. The dad, who adores his kid, agrees immediately. His wife is stricter, reminding him not to act foolish in front of guests. They keep asking about, what if something happens, can a human like him save his students? As guardian, the dad is deeply worried and wants to test if Haruaki is fit. Hearing this, Haruaki's face goes blank, clueless about what's coming. Mauka says it's an annual thing. Her dad challenges teachers, but teacher Miki escaped miraculously. Seeing Haruaki's trouble, Beans reveals the secret to him. The secret behind how his colleagues survived the unprepared challenge hits hard. Before they can brace themselves, that guy suddenly swings a massive sword at them. Terrified and unarmed, they bolt for their lives. How can you fight someone with a weapon? They chase each other all over the vast estate, which is so spacious that it doesn't limit their escape. Sano sees the danger. That teacher isn't brave enough to fight back. It goes on until Haruaki trips and unleashes his anti-demon power. Monsters start appearing, making things even worse. If the secret gets out, it'll cause a huge uproar. He knows it, so Haruaki forces himself to punch the ground, drawing in the anti-demon power to suppress it. In the demon world now, only a few know about Haruaki's special ability. If Mauka's overprotective dad finds out, it might breed more resentment and corner him, but Haruaki doesn't give up. He plays his trump card that Beans mentioned earlier. Turns out, Miki's family restaurant is in the red light district. The red light district, full of brothels, and Mauka's dad often sneaks there, fearing his wife will find out, which is why he let teacher Miki escape before. Haruaki threatens to call the wife and spill it, making the old man panic. In his mind, Haruaki tells himself to be strong, but he's actually shaking and almost wetting himself. As Haruaki calls Mauka's mom, the husband muffles him, scolding him as spineless for snitching on someone's affairs. Haruaki retorts that to be your homeroom teacher. Even if I'm seen as trash or vile, I'll do anything. This makes the husband acknowledge him but threatens that if his son gets hurt, Haruaki should prepare a coffin. He bows, asking Haruaki to watch over Mauka. Everyone's touched. Beans is surprised her dad yielded like that. After sorting it, the wife appears and slaps her husband, losing his dignity, because they heard about him visiting the red light district for fun. Seeing this, Haruaki realizes the real head of the house is Mauka's mom, not that dad. She respects Haruaki's ability. Even without magic, he made their forces submit. From now on, she hopes the homeroom teacher will look after her son and family. The little girl feels the same, thinking Haruaki might not survive leaving here, but he's grateful. Though a bit scared, Haruaki thanks her, as she really likes him, and gives a gift at first. I thought it was money, so I didn't take it, but no, the little girl just wanted a kiss and declared she'd pick Haruaki as her future husband. This shocks Sano, who at first thought she was an illusion. Then, her dad suddenly realizes his daughter's first kiss is stolen, and it's quite a mess. Haruaki explains it was unavoidable, and hey, it's his first time too. They keep joking, saying, "Don't even think about dating Beans, Haruaki." But as a result, they get chased off like dogs for rejecting her, his precious daughter. A few days later, the hellish student home visits finally end. Haruaki and a few colleagues take a break to scout for an upcoming Tokyo trip. There, he enjoys seeing so many students in uniforms. Hatanaka and Miki are pretending to be human, while teacher Nezumi disguises as a keychain. They share their past. Those two have been close since childhood, so they call each other by first names suddenly. Haruaki suddenly needs to pee, so he dashes off. This reminds Miki of their past trip here about a year ago, when they were Nezumi's students, and quite mischievous, telling a bird to snatch the mouse teacher away. Unexpectedly, they bumped into a lost Haruaki. He's always been timid, thinking those two were thugs, so he apologized and offered compensation. Nearby, they spot a kid, it's Sano. He's lost his brother, Hatanaka. Back then, with blonde hair, Hatanaka looked dangerous and scared the kid witless, thinking he'd be eaten, so he hid under the seat. Then, the plague spirit activated its magic, making a nearby tree crash down, almost cracking his head. With no other choice, Miki asks a stranger to talk to the kid, since he might be terrified of their appearance and wet himself. After explaining, the three youths understand the situation and decide to help the two. The monsters are shocked. The boy before them is clearly not human. To calm the kid, Haruaki buys him ice cream. Sano's loved stuffed animals since he was little, which is why he's close to Mauka now. Just then, Haruaki needs to pee but doesn't know the way, so Miki carries him there. Sano does the same, leaving his stuffed animal on the seat. When they return, it's gone, probably mistaken for trash by cleaners. Knowing it's precious to Sano, Haruaki rushes. They chase the car relentlessly, fueled by unyielding determination. Hatanaka and Miki follow on a rickety bike, while the bird carries teacher Nezumi overhead. They land near the stuffed bear, retrieving it by evening. Sano's brother arrives to pick him up and thanks the trio for helping Haruaki, even giving him a luck charm. It turns out they were fated to meet last year. On the surface, Sano's brother is grateful, but he secretly resents the yukai. Hatanaka and Miki pass the gift to Haru, as it can't be split. The principal drags them back, pointing out someone who looks like Haruaki yelling in the distance. Realizing it's his twin, Haruaki greets his new friends, hoping to meet again if fate allows. Miki wonders about the lost boy from years ago, as time has blurred their memories. Haruaki returns from the restroom, pondering deep connections like his colleagues. They start calling him by name, feeling like true friends despite being the same age. Haruaki is overjoyed, having had no close friends in school. Meanwhile, Sano shares his past adventure of getting lost and being helped by three kind souls, wondering what they're up to now. Soon, he realizes those three are his teachers, bringing a warm smile. The next day, Haruaki's class heads to Tokyo for a field trip, exciting everyone. Mauka notices something missing on the buso. They left teacher Haruaki behind. The group stops to call him, finding out he's on a subway, lost in the crowd. To avoid delaying the students, he insists they go to Maruno first while he figures it out. But Sano doesn't trust him. Worse, Haruaki's phone dies. The students inform teacher Hatanaka, and Nuu volunteers the class to search, letting others continue the trip. If Haruaki makes it, call them. Haruaki worries about the students wandering in the human world. Teacher Nezumi steps in as a substitute, though he hates public speaking. They remind the yukai students of the academy's rules. Human, like ones are fine, but others must disguise themselves and never use powers around humans. The class splits up to search. Teacher Nezumi proves useful, rallying thousands of rats with heater to find Haruaki quickly through their network across Tokyo. Mujina searches while playing, and Akise joins in, annoying Oa. Odawara reminds them not to goof off, though he's the biggest shopper. Girls think his lantern face is cute and ask for photos. Nuyu is exasperated by their antics. The four boys climb high, using the one-eyed guy's sight to search easier. Maeda, as a fish person, gets carried, while Yanagida turns into a flag to join. Utagawa faces issues with Yashiki running wild in game shops, so they search for her. Sano questions station staff but finds no clues. Suddenly, two Dr. Takahashis appear. Wait, it's Officer Yamazaki in disguise, their old classmates heading to meet a friend. Sano senses danger for Haruaki, who's wandered far and accidentally broke his old charm string. Luckily, someone picks it up, Sano's brother. Haruaki thinks it's his student at first, but Noit's the brother, who remembers him as the kid who got lost before. What a twist's at it again. Haruaki doesn't recall, but since he deals with Yukai, the brother invites him for a drink. They share stories. Haruaki's teaching journey at the Yukai school, from nerves to joy. The brother calls the charm a lifesaver and helps him get a charger. A kid runs by, and Haruaki trips her. The brother, disliking Yukai, grumbles it's a cursed child haunting the Maldisaster's coming, so they should leave. After getting the charger, he asks if Haruaki has a black-haired student like him, but Haruaki distracts himself with uniforms and gets scolded for being rude. Fire trucks roar by, and the mall's on fire as predicted. Haruaki rushes in, worried about the girl. The brother explains the curse. Child's dark side brings fortune but invites calamity when she leaves. She's sensing danger subconsciously. No casualties yet, but as an exorcist, he detects she's still trapped. He stops Haruaki, saying it's not worth risking for one Yukai. The brother badmouths them, insisting they don't belong in the human world. Haruaki, once fearful, now stands firm he's their teacher and won't abandon her. She could be his student someday. Shocked, the brother sees Haruaki as foolish, regretting his admiration. Inside, Haruaki breaks through her barrier like before and headbutts the door, scaring her. As they escape, an explosion hits, but his powers protect him. Fearing for her, he uses the charger to call Sano for rain from the wind and thunder gods. They're far, so they hurry, but the ceiling collapses, cutting the call. Sano contacts Nua to locate the fire via smoke. They split up. One distracts crowds so Maeda can fly as a mermaid. They spot the ginger fire, but the aviation Yukai stops them for violating rules, detaining them. Sano runs there. It's 20 minutes away. He prays. Haruaki holds on. Haruaki's head is split, but he's conscious. The girl is terrified, so he comforts her. His old charm activates, guiding them as a spirit boy. They follow, and he thanks the charm for years of protection. Outside, rain falls not from the charm, but the gods, brought by Yanagida. They escape, and the girl explains Haruaki's rescue. The rain isn't enough, but underground water from Nezumi's rats douses the Ferreira lucky miracle, like divine blessing. Sano realizes it's his brother below. Thanking Yanagida, he learns of the officer's disguise. It ends their Tokyo trip with memories. Sano heard that and had no choice but to run and search. From here to the Ginger Shrine it would take a full 20 minutes. If only Yanagida were around, they could make it in time. Suddenly, Sano thought of a way and dashed off right away, silently wishing the teacher could hold on a little longer. At that moment, Haruaki had a head wound, but stayed conscious. The little girl was terrified, so he comforted her. It's all right. In the panic, the talisman Sano had given before activated, summoning a spirit boy to guide them to escape. Though confused, it bought them time. Haruaki had to follow the escape route. The spirit of Sano's charm bid farewell, saying it could only help this much. They thanked it for keeping the talisman safe all those years. Reaching the rooftop, they escaped the danger, but Haruaki was exhausted from the smoke. The young spirit tried to pull him out but was urged to go first. She refused and kept helping the young man regain his senses. After seeing the talisman in his hand, he remembered the kid from the past he had helped, so he silently thanked the one who saved them now. He quietly felt grateful for the effort, as it led to his rescue. The teacher pushed on to a smoke-free spot under the rainy sky. They thought it might be the talisman's power, but it wasn't. And the two thunder gods, brought by Yanagida, arrived to save them. Seeing the girl beside him, they realized the head teacher had rushed into danger to save someone. They all left first, as the rain wasn't enough to douse the whole building. Suddenly, a massive surge of water from underground erupted, extinguishing the fire. This was an accident caused by the rats following teacher Nezumi. Unintentionally, it became a lucky turn that saved the shopping center. Normally, this couldn't happen. It felt like divine protection from a fortune god. Hearing that, Sano remembered his brother, standing below. He thanked Yanagida, realizing this policeman could transform and copy almost any skill perfectly. It turned out Sano knew they were nearby drinking water, so he went for help. Their Tokyo trip ended with so many memories. The DRT Academy entered summer break, making everyone joyful. They'd waited so long for this day, so they wished each other the best. The next day, everyone returned home to reunite with family. Hieta lived in a peaceful countryside, and even got her ears cleaned by her sister. It seemed blissful, but her sister was just practicing. What if she pierced her husband's eardrum? The aunt called her son to greet guests, as New had come to play. Seeing that, he had to get up quickly to avoid misunderstandings. It seemed every summer he had to stay in this rural area. This year he'd be cared for at Yashiki's inn nearby. Hieta saw her close friend leaving and felt unhappy, suggesting to talk to the head teacher for help. New laughed it off, saying it wouldn't change anything, but put on a thoughtful face that looked pitiful. This was so different from his one-eyed self at school. Luckily, there were two kind friends here to comfort him. Yashiki, with free time, made ice cream for them. Hieta got the swamp ghost flavor, while the other two had regular strawberry. They wondered what their classmates were doing this summer break. New knew the giant otter was playing soccer with Aki. Hieta tried the special cream and noticed it was all mud, getting annoyed. Typical swamp ghost, but who eats dirt? Why add it in? The scene shifted to Tanuki and Renju's family. Their small mother playfully caught the father's bugs for research, but it was no giant spider, just her own work. No progress on insects left them bored. Aki feared getting scolded by Mom later. Renju mentioned her dad went to Kyoto to play, so Mom's anger would shift to him. Asked why, they learned he was at the red light district with teacher Mickey, partying, so he'd get beaten for sure. In his drunken state, he didn't recognize the cross-dressing ghost as teacher Mickey. The ghost felt bitter about babysitting at school and serving the lustful dad during break. While he went to the bathroom, Mickey ran to his sister to complain, asking why he had to dress as a girl to serve that old man when he never agreed to help the shop. She brushed it off, saying it was for money, so endure it. The ghost was sent out to extort money from Tanuki's rich dad. Another in trouble was Hatanaka, feeling down and trying to call his friend, but no answer. Now with 3 rowdy kids, no rest for him. The happiest teacher must be men, as Sano visited. The principal, Ami, acted unhappy but invited him in. Haruaki wanted a fun break with him, so the principal played matchmaker. The aunt was delighted with the guest and recalled the Tokyo trip, worrying about her son's injury in the fire. Everyone panicked and nearly fainted hearing about it. She reminded him to be careful. This time he escaped lucky, but don't be reckless. Ignoring yourself means betraying those who care. Realize when to risk for others and stay safe so no one grieves. Men agreed and apologized for worrying her. The next day, Sano announced he'd get a part-time job, not freeload forever. The head teacher asked to join for experience. Their destination was near DRT Academy, so someone would escort them. After calling the monster taxi, Yanagida showed up, making them uneasy. He said he was driving for summer cash and could take them anywhere in the country for 500 yen. With his shrine speed, they'd reach the academy in 5 minutes. The teacher worried about crashing at that speed, but Yanagida assured the seats were enchanted. In a flash, they arrived. With no one around, Haruaki could do as he liked. He visited the bookstore where Sano worked. Though a second-hand shop, it had rich books. The plague god's job was easy, just sit there. Another employee was Karasuma. They were surprised to meet. Sano asked if they knew each other. It turned out he was one of the 3 who kidnapped Mauka for feathers before. The plague god was still annoyed since that issue wasn't settled with the dog gang. Now, he was just a part-time worker. Their bad deeds were mostly for fun. They gave men a business card, saying to call for mischief. Haruaki thought he'd never use it. He noticed Sano and Karasuma shared a mysterious vibe. Karasuma objected, calling himself a secret otaku, not like that. Seeing a limited edition Magic Girl book, he got excited. Haruaki, bored, browsed, and felt drawn to one book. The other employee suggested it was great, but unfinished, so no one read it. He thought to be the first to finish it. Curious, Haruaki opened it and saw it mirrored the outside world. He shouted, and thunder roared. Thinking it coincidence, he read on. It asked for the main character, and he thought of Sano with Karasuma as colleague. Their names filled in. Haruaki figured the book was enchanted to interact. Outside, something strange happened to them. Sano noticed the door was sealed. Haruaki asked what was wrong, and learned the book's words became reality. He grew scared, like a curse. Explaining to the others, he got scolded. Sano grabbed him, threatening for dragging him into this story. The employee was actually a ghost, Karasuma, who said they were alone and no customers had come, so he was haunting them. Haruaki wondered if he was a past victim. The locked door meant they had to read till the end. The challenge was not knowing what came next. With the 2 as hostages, it was dangerous. Men continued reading, making it pitch black. Lighting up, Karasuma collapsed, scaring them. In the book, it said he died. Sano checked, no pulse. To fix it, men changed it to his imagination, reviving him. Karasuma panicked, saying he was boiling in oil, nearly meeting the underworld. With the story changed, things shifted. Sano suggested ending it quickly, but the creator wouldn't let them. They decided to use Mei's imagination for a happy ending. Though burdensome, he promised to try. The book said more people would come. Haruaki didn't want to involve friends, so Karasuma suggested his dog gang brothers. Bon Maru arrived, asking for rain, and found old acquaintances. They apologized and explained the situation. Now, they'd let Haruaki rewrite before it escalated. Just then, Karasuma pinned Sano down. Bon Maru demanded men rewrite before it became murder. They kept reading and saw the two had to kiss. Sano was shocked but couldn't resist. The underling panicked about losing his purity. Luckily, Haruaki changed it to Bon Maru's imagination, shifting the horror to him. Sano and the dog got a fright. Men realized he could change the main characters with his thoughts to spare them. The battle between the book and the mystic began. Meteors fell, but he wrote Ota as a giant to deflect them. Poison grass grew, so Yanagida handled it with his potions. Locusts came, sent to Mauka and friends. A car crashed, but drunk Miki threw it away. Even aliens appeared, dealt with by Dr. Takahashi. The cursed book kept trying, but each time it was rewritten. Finally exhausted, it couldn't continue. But it wasn't over. It tried to suck them in forever. Quickly, the three were trapped, but Haruaki wrote it away with his mystic power, ending the curse. They sighed in relief, realizing the ghost was the long-dead author, back to play tricks. Suddenly they thought if it made things real, why not wish for benefits? Haruaki wanted uniforms, the dogs wanted wealth, and to end being single. Sano was baffled, but the wishes didn't come true since the curse was lifted. A few days later, the close friends met at Hita's for fun, midway through break. Mauka showed his imagined photo diary, Haruaki went to India, and New awakened his flirtatious side for parties. At 3 p.m., Yoshiki excused herself. The others thought she hated homework and made excuses. The young spirit said her inn had an interviewer. At first they didn't believe it, but the magazine confirmed it. However, this is not the end yet. Truong Tanjia still has to conclude with the final move this time. The cursed book wants to suck everyone here into it forever. Immediately, the other three were controlled. Luckily, Haruaki quickly added the following sentence that before that happened, it was immediately eliminated by the power of the Onmyoji. LP. He successfully activated his spiritual power to stop the fight by writing in there that the book's curse had been lifted. Only then did they breathe a sigh of relief and at the same time realize. It turns out that Ghost is the author of the book, but he passed away a long time ago. I don't know why he came back today to tease me like that. Suddenly they realized, if it can make everything come true, why don't I ask for a few more beneficial things? Haruaki asked for a bunch of uniforms. The Crow brothers' celestial globe wanted to be rich and escape the virgin life. Sano is helpless with these guys. Luckily that wish didn't come true because the curse was lifted, otherwise the scene changed to a few days later. A group of close friends gathered at Hita's house for fun, right in the midst of summer break, so they all started tackling their assignments. Mauka proudly showed off his imagined photo diary. Haruaki adventured to India, while Nu awakened his mischievous charms and dove into wild parties. The clock struck 3 o'clock, so Yashiki politely excused herself. The others suspected she hated homework and made up excuses about being busy with Tofu Doji. Today, the inn of her 3 dads had visitors for an interview, and at first, they didn't believe it, but after flipping through the magazine, it was true. The inn was rumored to be a hotspot for spirits, which brought both risks and rewards by attracting curious souls. Yashiki's 3 dads were all human, so they knew little about spirits, which is why she had to return to help if needed. Sano and men were curious about what her dads were like, and soon they headed to the Tofu Doji estate to see Yashiki's fathers lining up to greet them, all so young and full of life. They even met the homeroom teacher, who asked what kind of spirit Haruaki was, explaining why Yashiki had 3 dads. She shared the story from years ago when her dad, along with his buddies Dad Sek and Dad Uma, bought the place to run a business. It was run down back then, but once they fixed it up, everything changed, and Tofu Doji was born. That's her. Yanagida explained how the love between humans and the house blossomed, giving birth to her spirit. So, Yashiki suddenly had 3 guardian dads, and her mother is the house itself. Brushing that aside, she called her friends to help with the interview. Hita wanted to scare the reporters to make them write glowing stories about the inn, drawing in more curious guests. They all agreed and left it to the group. Yanagida thought it wasn't enough and rushed to fetch more classmates. The homeroom teacher saw Tofu Doji's story as truly wonderful, and Nuu felt the same. When asked how he was born, he grew quiet, but said he was born like a human. What else? Men joked about popping out of an eyeball. About 2 hours later, the reporters arrived, introducing themselves from the mysterious Paradise magazine. The group sized them up ordinary faces, like background actors, nothing special. This time, the reporter wanted to cover it from multiple angles, so he brought a science professor along. Of course, the professor didn't believe in ghosts, promising to debunk all supernatural claims with science and even mocked the inn for not drawing crowds. This infuriated the students, especially Yashiki, who snapped back, calling him a scrawny jerk with glasses as thick as bottle bottoms. She warned him he'd be terrified tonight and not to blame her. Her dads, of course, sided with her, agreeing he deserved it but told her not to go too far. The opponents were outnumbered but fearless, accepting the challenge from this quirky crew. The deal was to scare him before dawn, and Tofu Doji agreed if he wet himself, he'd have to give the inn 5 stars. The two bespectacled foes traded barbs, leaving the teacher above worried if this was an interview or a feud. Just then, Yanagida brought more allies, and the whole class gathered to plan how to terrify their targets. Everyone agreed to let the homeroom teacher strategize, as Men was great at this, but Yashiki stopped them, wanting it fair she started this, so she'd give the orders, and her friends would follow. The opening act was Fuji's. The pair entered a room full of eerie dolls, amplifying the fear. Fuji posed as the inn's mistress, welcoming the guests. The reporter felt a bone-chilling cold upon touching her hand. Then, Yashiki's youngest dad brought in snacks, and they asked about the mistress, learning only the daughter was here. The reporter grew scared, but the professor dismissed it. Fuji, hidden in the other room, enjoyed seeing the fear but knew the fun was just beginning. Opening the snack box revealed a little girl, Aki, who simply acted cute and scampered out, mission done. Called an old uncle, she teased back, asking if they didn't find her adorable. The reporter now believed spirits existed, but the professor claimed it was remote-controlled dolls and psychological tricks, making the reporter waver. The two friends listening were annoyed, thinking if he couldn't recognize a real person, why lecture? The next scare involved the group, Haruaki, Kurahashi, and Momoyama as victims. Yashiki trusted the teacher, who was like a spirit himself, to heighten the terror. They summoned storm gods, bringing thunder and darkness that fit perfectly. Tofu Doji had her dads act out a scene luring the prey, spinning tales of the guest in room 103 who never left, with creepy stories from the past. The reporter went to check, and the dads fed his fears about the spider spirit in that room. 100 years ago, a girl died from a spider bite and became a vengeful spirit. Opening the door, they saw 3 people wrapped in webs, screaming. The professor was stunned it was real silk but called it a staged act. Yashiki warned the next scare was his, but he wasn't afraid. The reporter was spooked and wanted to call the police, so Renzu pulled the 3 free, leaving the professor smirking, thinking it was all the students doing. Even the dads were irritated but trusted Yashiki to win. Later, she brought food to Haruaki, who enjoyed playing the victim. Tofu Doji wanted to ramp it up next, surprised at her students' seriousness usually. She was aloof with unrelated matters. Hita passed by, assuming they were confessing feelings, and got jealous. She recalled the event from 10 years ago when her dad was dumped. Despite asking why, he never answered. One day, she overheard it was because he told his girlfriend about their spirit daughter, and she saw him as dangerous. He acted like it didn't matter, but Yashiki blamed herself, her strong personality pretending it was fine as she led Hita away for candy. Hita noticed and got scolded by Tofu Doji for prying, claiming she didn't care, though it was a lie. That's why she needed to teach that professor a lesson for disrespecting her dad's inn, and prove she was a daughter they could be proud of. The teacher felt touched and patted her head, assuring her with friends' help, it'd be okay. Yashiki brightened up, spotting her eavesdropping friends, who cheered to scare that 4-eyed fool silly. Tofu Doji returned to her true self, thanking the teacher for welcoming her back then, or she'd have missed this class joy no game could match it. Later, they crafted a new plan with everyone involved. The prey asked for the bathroom, and was hit with an illusion spell, fumbling to a wall he thought was a door. The professor asked what his partner was doing, and the young man was shocked it was clearly a door before. Haruaki praised Ogos for messing with his mind. Suddenly, Men was spotted and struck a silly pose to scare them off. Even the students were startled, let alone the pair. The professor started feeling fear but rationalized it. Then, the 4-eyed one transformed into a giant, booming with huge eyes, asking how they liked it. Before they could recover, Hita burst from the floor, demanding souls, knocking the reporter unconscious. Lights went out, and Yashiki appeared, asking if they were shaking in terror. He asked where she was hiding, and she whispered that everyone had been watching him. Instantly, they revealed their true forms in a spectral parade. Yashiki's dads watched intently as the professor ditched his glasses. Seeing with his own eyes, Yashiki stood center, warning not to toy with spirits, as they're everywhere unseen. He fainted, speechless. The next day, the reporter thanked them for the thrilling scare, promising a great article. Yashiki teased if he'd met spirits yet. He admitted he was still leaking a bit, defeated after last night's terror, and vowed 5 stars for the mysterious inn. Hita and the others chuckled at his dishonesty. Yashiki's dads were speechless but grateful, praising the final scare, especially their daughter. They were so proud. Everyone celebrated with a feast, but first they had to clean the mess. The group joked about burying Hita in the mud for dirtying the house. A few days later, Haruaki dreamed of his ancestor battling the massive, unstoppable Shuten Doji spirit, sealing it to prevent more harm. Men woke him, asking if he dreamed of uniforms burning. He didn't remember, as it faded upon waking. That day, they were invited to Kyoto's red light district, full of spirits. Some rowdy ones tried to take the teacher, but Miki's big sister Ibara stopped them. She warned to be careful, as old-school spirits still saw humans as prey. That's why Hatanaka called, advising against coming. Later, they greeted inside and brought gifts. Miki was confused. These sweets were local, not from their home. Haruaki asked what Miki was plotting, by inviting him if it wasn't trouble. Why call? The teacher called Miki, suspecting something. Inside, strange sounds led to the ancient sealed demoness. Haruaki panicked, yelling, but Miki calmed him. His mom was sealed, so no worry. Shuten Doji shared how she devoured everything, spirits or humans. Men feared he was summoned as a sacrifice. Miki laughed it off as a joke but admitted he needed Haruaki's spirit exercising power to destroy her. This shocked him, as she was Miki's mom. Her crimes were endless. She even absorbed her son's power, forcing him to drink for strength. Haruaki couldn't harm his friend's mother. Miki urged him, as she was sealed by his ancestor. He tried tempting with a uniform, but Haruaki refused, wanting to tame her his way. He approached the demoness and got caught. She remembered the face that sealed her. Haruaki begged, claiming he was her grandson, but Shuten Doji didn't care. She was hungry for his soul. He pleaded as a virgin, but she ignored it. Outside, Masumo tried to save him, but Ibara stopped her for something important. Miki got scolded for bringing friends here. Haruaki innocently said he had no real friends, just using them to destroy his mom forever. Ibara was shocked, realizing Miki still grieved his past loss. Furious, Haruaki activated 30% of his power, escaping. He wanted to help his friend without killing her. Ibara urged Miki to leave to avoid losing another friend. Shocked, Haruaki demanded the story. It turned out Miki once brought a human friend, who was lured and devoured by his mom. His sister, Tarako, disposed of the body, calling it an accident. Now, Miki hated his mom and wanted her gone. Haruaki cried, relating to his new friendships. Ibara hoped Haruaki would keep playing with Miki. He insisted on saving his friend's soul, even if Miki approached him for his ancestry. He saw Miki as a true friend. Miki and Hatanaka weren't afraid of his power. They shared school memories and sensed his silent plea for help. Facing Shuten Doji, she didn't expect Haruaki to return. He thought his power would neutralize her, making her harmless. But his sealed bracelet weakened him against this ancient demon. He paid the price for his boldness, begging for another chance, but she refused. Ibara pulled the chains, pleading for her to stop, only to be scolded as spoiled. The wicked mum targeted her, but Hatanaka arrived her husband. He cursed the old hag for harming his wife and friend. Masumo guessed it earlier, as Ibara sent her for help, and she called Yanagida, bringing Hatanaka. The mom was furious at their disrespect. Though sealed, her physical strength overwhelmed them. A snap immobilized the teachers. Haruaki couldn't defend against this legendary demon. Miki tried stopping her, offering his power, but she didn't care, swallowing part of Haruaki's soul and calling it disgusting, spitting him out. She reminded them of the past incident. Miki sobbed, holding his friend's body, flashbacks flooding in. When Haruaki joined the academy, Miki befriended him for his exercising lineage. At first it was for power, but he grew close, feeling warmth. During summer, Miki learned his mom had gathered enough power to break the seal, so he invited Haruaki to stop her. Her cruelty cost him another friend. Hatanaka refused to give up, wanting to cut her open for the soul. Shuten Doji mocked him, and Miki stepped in, demanding his friend's soul back. She delighted in punishing him, crushing him. Tears fell as he cursed his weakness. Masumo offered itself to retrieve the soul. Suddenly, a familiar voice, not Haruaki's, but his ancestors, echoed. Haruaki inherited everything from the great Exorcist, even his soul's power. The demoness writhed in pain, vomiting it out. The ancestor called to his heir time to wake, as he once couldn't resolve this peacefully. He wanted Haruaki to finish what he started, that's why he sealed her instead of destroying her. Haruaki awoke, asking if dust was in Mickey's eyes, then his power hurt him. Everyone urged focus, the demoness needed handling. They all charged to hold her back. Yanagida lifted the teacher high to cast spells. With full power, Haruaki's skills were amplified, risking vaporizing everyone below, so he held back. His friends insulted him to distract his mind and reduce the energy. Mickey threatened the principal would ban uniforms next year, weakening him further. Now safe, Haruaki ended the 1,000-year feud. The legendary demoness, drained of power, shrank. Hatanaka caught his friend, gasping from the energy surge. Masumo reminded him to wear the sealing bracelet. Haruaki fulfilled his promise to Mickey. Mickey shyly scolded him for being reckless, nearly meeting his ancestor, but wasn't angry. His sisters thanked them and hoped for true friendship. Mickey shook on it, as his mum's shadow lifted. Flashback to 15 years ago, when Mickey's friend was devoured, it was Haruaki. His ancestor helped reclaim the soul, but he forgot. In a twist, it was all a spirit's illusion. The scene shifted to Officer Yamazaki, chasing a fast thief spirit into the academy. The school connected to places across Japan, making it tricky, but as a cop, he vowed to catch and lock him away for centuries. The next day, Haruaki returned home happily after helping Mickey, planning a lazy day, but heard a knock. Mickey with his 3 grandkids. He slammed the door, claiming he wasn't home. Mickey knew he was upset about the invitation, and apologized, saying he'd visit in return. It was an excuse, really, as he needed help with his rowdy kids while taking Ibara to the doctor. The grandkids gathered. The eldest, Saki, 6 years old, liked boys with over 10 million yen income. She wasn't Hatanaka's, inheriting from her mom, so she's super strong, lifting a ton. Saki warned Haruaki not to look at her weirdly, or he'd never see sunrise, called a lolicon. He clarified he just liked uniforms. The younger ones, Kame and Taichinik, named number 1 and number 2 are like Hatanaka. The kid invited Haruaki to play, but his mom kicked him, making Mickey fume at Hatanaka's parenting. Saki curiously explored and stumbled into Haruaki's room, full of uniforms, and freaked out. Later, seeing her shake, he asked what was wrong. She warned if he stepped closer, she'd call for help, calling him a creep. He boasted it was his ultimate collection. She ordered number 1 to handle the pervert. The 2 uncles got beaten, feeling broken. Haruaki yelled for Sano to save him, and the spirit of illness appeared, agreeing they were right to call him disgusting, and joined in. Mickey felt relieved, knowing Haruaki was avoiding honesty. The teacher advised him to change his blunt ways for the future. Suddenly, the thief from before was there, eyeing valuables. The grandkids demanded food from Mickey, and the boys ran off, with one getting kidnapped. Haruaki rushed to save him, knowing the neighbor ate anything. They knocked, no answer, so Sano threw him in with spirit power. Tai Chi was in boiling water for plucking, and they rescued him, getting burned. The kids praised him, and Haruaki explained the fox was his pet, covering the spirit's secret. Back home, Ame scolded the thief, and Yamazaki arrived, telling him to surrender. The twin brother lookalike fainted at the spirits. The thief grabbed the treasure and fled, infuriating Haruaki. The kids asked the cop's salary for future plans, impressing Mickey. To verify the stolen goods, Haruaki let them search his massive storeroom. Soon, Yamazaki called for backup and left, so Haruaki chased, cuffed to Sano by the kids. Mickey advised waiting for the cops, but he was confident with Sano's speed. They tripped, unfamiliar with the method. The thief was bold in crowds, evading Yamazaki. Sano and Haruaki coordinated better, cornering the spirit. The cops flew in, trapping him. They attacked one with decay power, the other with Exorcist, resulting in an explosion. The thief was fine, but they were messed up, yet smiled, admitting they weren't skilled yet. The thief grabbed Ame as a hostage, knowing his fear of spirits. It seemed over, but it was Yamazaki disguised as Ame, locking the thief and slamming him down for his disrespect. Everything resolved, but Haruaki was sad about turning Sano to ash. He didn't mind, finding it funny, so they called it even. The officer thanked them for stalling and apologized for impersonating the twin, but Haruaki guessed it. He chose Ame for his fear, making him a perfect bait. Returning the box, the stolen treasure was safe. Hatanaka arrived for his kids and visited, excited about their 4th child. He joked about more playdates, but Mickey and Haruaki begged off, exhausted. Sano curiously opened the box, expecting jewels, but it was limited edition uniforms. The thief must have been furious, even they couldn't handle it. Sano kicked Haruaki, warning against storing weird stuff. The friends decided to fix his character. At summer's end, the class headed to the beach. Hita was thrilled, boasting about fishing, not just swimming. Sano asked about his gear, and he said it was on the shore. Mauka naively said to share catches. But Hita saw them as bait for girls. That was the real plan. They built a love castle, attracting 2 fish spirits. They asked Sano what he was doing and called him cute, wanting photos. Hita and the boys introduced themselves as Sano's friends, but Mauka shooed the fish away for flirting with his Sano. They swam off, ruining the plan. The group teased Mauka for being childish, saying curves were better, but Sano laughed, preferring Tanuki like Mauka. The boys groaned at his protectiveness. Suddenly, the girls arrived, exciting everyone, but the furry pair scolded them as perverts for staring. Hita defended, saying he wasn't looking, and why cover up now? Yoshiki arrived, confidently hunting fish in her style, teasing about shark dinner. The furry girls asked why they weren't swimming. Fuji confessed they were trying to flirt, getting yelled at for being crude. The poetry-loving girls, crushing on Sano and Nuu, worried about the company. Renzu cut ties with Nuu over it, confusing him. Akium missed the chat chance, and Majina wasn't bothered, as half the girls had crushes. Fuji redeemed himself by charming others. Hita spotted guys approaching Yoshiki and intervened, asking their game, then scolded her for going along. She explained they just asked for the bathroom. Relieved, he asked when she became his, embarrassing him. Akium called for help against harassers. The sea spirits grouped the boys as local trouble, demanding dates. Uragawa enjoyed it, but the spirits towered over them. The girls stopped it, but they insisted on dates. Maeda carried Fuji, freezing the bullies, and Yanagida flew the girls to safety. Hita rallied, but they were overpowered. On shore, the pair finished their sandcastle, but waves ruined it, enraging Sano. He unleashed his power, summoning storms and lightning, scaring everyone trapped in it. Hita asked if he was eliminating them, and they all got zapped. Later, Mauka rebuilt his sand model and photographed it, asking why everyone was asleep in the sea. Sano shrugged it off as tiredness. By evening, the group returned home, promising to meet again. Hita complained of the lingering shock and headed to bed, but his mom reminded him tomorrow was the 3rd of August. Checking the calendar, he realized he hadn't done summer homework. At Sano's, he was writing a report on spirit reproduction. Haruaki found it fascinating and decided to ask around. First, Yanagida, who they were close with lately, he pulled out a homemade firecracker, scaring them, and shared his crude birth story from a bag, not birth. His family was born from infused energy. Intrigued, they visited Mauka, who said animal spirits have litters, like his family. Hatanaka and Akise's were the same. For inorganic spirits it was more interesting. They went to Odawara's, full of lampshade kids. Haruaki was surprised he was over 300 years old, the first lantern spirit in Japan, born from souls in lamps used by cops. Inorganic spirits form through energy transfer. They met Hita, born in a field from paired mud spirits. Haruaki asked about mixed births, like Hatanaka's kids could take after one parent, rarely hybrids. New interrupted, and Hita clammed up, asking to copy Sano's homework, but he refused. Hita mentioned human spirit births were tough, like Nu's. They asked Takahashi, who shared Miki's thoughtful questions. His story was human-like, from a thief cursed with eyes like a divine punishment. The nurses here formed from death souls. He was experimenting with that, inviting them to watch, but they bolted. At the station, Yamazaki jailed them, explaining doppelgangers appear randomly, like him. Some spirits are nature-made, possibly as divine punishment. Yanagida believed it, feeling hated by gods. Haruaki changed topics to spare Sano. That night they returned with mixed feelings. Sano confronted Haruaki about realizing he wasn't a spirit like the others. Haruaki admitted it from the start, as Sano was a god, not in the spirit registry. His power didn't affect Sano much. Realizing the sensitivity, Haruaki said it didn't matter if he was a spirit or god, they were friends. Sano stopped, smiling, and teased Haruaki to worship him. Yanagida overheard and panicked, firing fireworks to signal, but it exploded like a bomb. The display was stunning, marking summer's end. On the 1st of September, Hita asked Hatanaka about unfinished homework, and he pulled a knife, scarring him as a warning. The academy welcomed a guest, Sabur, a god representing spirits for exchange. Haruaki recognized him from Tokyo. The fortune god was delighted to reunite, shaking hands like old friends. He downplayed their argument over views. Sabur wanted harmony and apologized. Hatanaka asked the principal about the exchange, wondering if gods finally respected spirits. He didn't know but wanted no part. They discussed Tokyo, and Miki got excited to befriend the fortune god, asking if he could make money. Sabur felt let down by Miki's motives. Hatanaka and Haruaki had a class, warning Sabur not to trust Miki's flattery or lend money. Miki asked what a god like him did at a spirit school. Sabur stayed calm, noting even gods became spirits and wanted to observe them. Haruaki's power was a nuisance, so he'd avoid provoking him. He mentioned Mickey's weakened family and hoped for peace, as Mickey had things to protect. Mickey shot back, knowing Sabo protected someone here, Sano, his brother. As Sano's former teacher, he warned not to underestimate gods. In class, Haruaki introduced Sabor, and Sano changed demeanor. Sabor dyed his hair gold, and Haruaki defended him. The teacher bridged them, and they pretended it was their first meeting. Haruaki recalled Sano's resemblance. They introduced to the class, exciting everyone it was their first fortune god, looking like Sano. Mauka covered, saying they weren't related. Sabur joined teaching language, making poems. He was shocked at the kid-level book, and the class mocked it, but their average was 8. This class was lucky with an easy teacher, so they did as they liked. Mauka showed Haruaki his poem flawed but awarded a Nobel. Saba fixed it by crossing lines, annoying Mauka, who asked if he knew he was a bean spirit. Saba claimed he researched the class. In reality, it was because of Sano. Sabor corrected others strictly. Haruaki soothed the irritated Sano, blaming Sabor. Sano asked for help to avoid him. Later, over lunch, Haruaki felt insecure next to the popular Sabor. Hatanaka advised not to care, as the class scores were always low. Mickey agreed, as it was terrible under Hatanaka. Haruaki was shocked at the Four Eyes comment. Now there's Yashiki too, but they're disappointed. The four guys looked and lost interest. She confidently said dressing like this was perfect for fishing and teased about shark for dinner. The furry girls asked why they weren't swimming but staying on shore. Fuji admitted they were trying to flirt with girls over there, but got yelled at for being crude. The principal urged him to snap out of it, as Saber's teaching outshone him. In the end, the friends reflected on growth, ready for the new term's adventures. Hita spotted 2 guys approaching Yashiki like flirting. Though liking big ones, he stayed loyal and ran to stop them, asking what they were up to with his Yashiki. He scolded her for following so easily. She explained they just asked for the bathroom direction. Relieved it wasn't flirting, he asked when she became his, making him embarrassed. Aki ran over, saying some guys were messing with their class girls. The group got lumped with sea monsters demanding dates. They introduced themselves but got mud in the face, asked what made them dare flirt. Urawaga was happy, but they were here to flirt too. The guy was taller, so not scared. Nudu spoke up and got attacked. Their size gave an advantage. The girls demanded they stop or date. The class hero arrived. Maeda carried Fuji, freezing the rude ones. Yanagida flew in to take the girls to safety. Hiita called for everyone to charge, but they all ended up trapped. On shore, the close friends finished their sand art, but water from the monster ruined it, enraging Sano. He unleashed high spirit power, summoning dark clouds and lightning, scaring the class. Hita asked if he was going to wipe them out. Stuck, they all got zapped. Later, Mauka finished his sand model and wondered why everyone was sprawled on the beach. Sano said they were just tired and brushed it off. By evening, the group returned home, promising to meet again. Hita complained of the lingering shock and headed to bed, but Mom called, asking if he knew tomorrow's date. Checking the calendar, it was the 3rd of August. Hita remembered he hadn't done summer homework. At Sano's, he was busy with a monster reproduction report. Haruaki found it fascinating and offered help by asking around, as you can't learn birthing from home. The first was Yanagida, making him happy. They've been close lately. If called suddenly, he joked it might explode. On that topic, Yanagida showed a homemade firework, scaring them. About his birth, it was crude. He came from a bag, no birthing involved. His family was born that way because parents accidentally infused spirit into objects. Finding it interesting, they went to other students' houses. First, Mauka's. If both parents are animals, they have dozens of kids, like his family. Hatanaka and Aki's are similar, full of members. Animal monsters are like beasts, so inorganic ones are more intriguing. Following advice, they went to Odawara's. His house had many lamps, his kids. Haruaki was shocked he was over 300 years old, and Japan's first lamp spirit. Lamps were used by police to catch criminals. Over time, souls entered, creating him. Inorganic monsters form by transferring spirit. It's complex. Deige is similar. At Hita's, he learned it was born in fields. If 2 mud ones plow together, they make one. Asked about mixed parents like Hatanaka, the kid could be mum's or dad's type, rarely a hybrid. As Nuu called, Hita stopped. That's all he knew, so he asked to borrow homework. Sano refused. On human mothers birthing monsters, it's tough. Nudu might be one. Later, they asked knowledgeable Takahashi. He said Mickey gives fun topics. His story is like humans. The 100-eyed ghost came from a thief whose body grew eyes as punishment, like a divine curse on the wicked. The nurses here form oppositely, from human death souls. More precisely, bodies become monsters when souls leave. He's experimenting it. They ran away, finding it gross. Next, at the police station, Yamazaki let them in, saying if they cause trouble again, jail them. On Double's reproduction, it's coincidental. Even he appeared one day. Many monsters are nature-made. Theories say they're heavenly punishment. Maybe they're born to distinguish the cursed. Yanagida believed that, feeling hated by gods, seeing them as criminals who protect humans. Haruaki changed topics to avoid saddening Sano. By night, they returned with mixed feelings. Seeing Sano silent, men tried joking, but he questioned if he realized his true identity, not a monster like classmates. Haruaki admitted it, as he was a god from the story. Asked when, since the school year start after checking files, he transferred from a god school to Bakui. Other teachers knew but didn't say. Sano was furious, choking him for pretending. Haruaki explained, thinking it was like the Ogata brothers, gods turned monsters, but after the monster book, realized he was pure god. Even his spirit power didn't affect Sano much. Recognizing the sensitivity, Haruaki kept quiet. To humans like him, monsters or gods don't matter. Hearing that, Sano stopped, knowing Haruaki saw him as a classmate friend. He laughed, admitting he was a true god, so worship him now. Yanagida overheard and was shocked, but they spoke casually. He worried and fired fireworks to signal he heard everything. It exploded like a bomb, not knowing if they survived, but it was visible everywhere, signaling summer's end. On the 1st of September, Hieta asked teacher Hatanaka if skipping homework was okay. He pulled a knife to scar him as a warning. The staff room echoed with his screams. As the new term started, Bakui welcomed a special guest. Saber, a god representative, came to teach and build friendship. Sensitive Haruaki chooses to stay silent, believing that for someone like him, whether it's yokai or gods, it doesn't really matter. Hearing this, Sano pauses, realizing Haruaki sees her as a true friend in class, and she laughs, comparing herself to a yokai while proudly admitting, "I'm a genuine god, so worship me from now on." Yanagida overhears the whole story and feels a chill, stunned by this earth-shaking secret, yet they chat about it so casually, without a care. When Sano asks to keep it secret from the class, Yanagida decides to launch fireworks as a signal that she's here and has heard everything. Yanagida sets off the fireworks to share the secret with their friends, and as soon as it's lit, it explodes like a massive bomb, though we don't know if those two behind her are okay. This spectacular display lights up the sky so brightly that friends from all directions can see it, everyone praising its beauty, signaling the end of summer break on the 1st of September. Hita heads to school to ask teacher Hatanaka, "What if I haven't done my summer homework?" He answers straight up and pulls out a knife to carve a mark on her body as a warning to others. The result? The teacher's room echoes with Hieta's screams of plea that day. As the new semester begins, the Academy of 100 Ghosts welcomes special guests, and Saburo, representing the gods, wants to interact as a lecturer to build stronger bonds. Haruaki recognizes him as that guy from Tokyo and feels a spark of joy, while the fortune god beams with delight at meeting him here, the two shaking hands like old buddies reunited. It's like they've been best friends forever. Discovering that this father figure is truly a god is a total surprise, explaining how he spotted that girl as a yokai back then. He acts like he was in a rush that day and couldn't speak up, even arguing during their goodbye over differing views. So, Saburo wants to make peace with Haruaki now. Innocent Haruaki falls for the sweet words and lets go of the grudge, saying he doesn't know why he got angry back then, and offers an apology. Hatanaka asks the principal about this exchange, wondering if the gods ever respected yokai before, or if times have truly changed. The principal isn't sure but firmly says he wants no part in god affairs. Later, they chat about the Tokyo incident, and Miki gets excited because Saburo is a fortune god, eager to make friends. She even asks if he can create money out of thin air, feeling a bit down that befriending him seems too easy compared to her own hard-won friendships. Meanwhile, Hatanaka chimes in. Hatanaka and Haruaki have a class to teach the first years, so they head off to prepare. Miki smiles and says she'll use this free time to strengthen her bond with her new friend. Hatanaka warns Saburo not to trust the little trickster's words, as 90% of it is flattery with no real good intent, and absolutely don't lend money if asked Haruaki still hasn't gotten his back. Feeling called out, Miki retorts, asking what a god like him is doing at a school for yokai. Saburo stays calm and says, "Hey colleagues, don't be so on guard." He points out that even here, some gods have been demoted to yokai and are living just fine. He wants to observe how they're getting by, though Haruaki's yokai exercising powers are a bit troublesome, not too bad for demons, but still a threat. So, Saburo will try not to provoke this human descendant of an onmyoji. Along the way, he teases Miki about adjusting to losing her powers, and brings up family matters. About the wine demon's family, when his own mother weakened him, Miki is shocked that he knows so much. Subaru hopes the two sides won't clash, for at this school, the wine demon has things he must protect like Haruaki and Hatanaka, his close friends. But he quickly retorts with a threat, since Subaru surely has someone to protect here too known other than the plague god, his dear younger brother. As the former homeroom teacher of Sano, the wine demon knows all too well, warning not to think he knows nothing about such gods. The two exchange smiles, both thinking the other is truly tricky. Later, in the second period, Mickey leads his friend into the class for a tour. Sano, just arriving at school, sees his brother and instantly changes his demeanor. Subaru does the same, dyeing his hair yellow again. When asked about it, Haruaki steps in to vouch, saying despite the tough look, he's not a bad sort. The homeroom teacher, still unaware, bridges the gap so the two can get acquainted, with the brothers acting as if this is their first meeting. Haruaki then recalls that when he first met this friend, he thought of Sano because they look so alike, but dismisses it as just imagination, they're not acquainted. After introducing him to the other students, everyone gets excited, it's their first time meeting a fortune god, and he's as handsome as Sano. They ask if they're related, but he doesn't say. Mickey catches on and steps in to vouch, explaining that for now, Saburo will join in teaching, so the homeroom teacher hopes the students will cooperate. Today's lesson is language arts, focusing on poetry. After glancing at his colleague's book, the fortune god looks surprised, feeling like this is a lesson for little kids. Seizing the moment, the others tease him about it, resulting in scolding for tests meant for elementary students, yet their average score is 8, which isn't bad. This class is luckier than others with such an easygoing teacher, so the students do whatever they want. Mickey even shares his poem with Mickey, and though a few parts are off, he awards it a Nobel Literature Prize, making the young one overjoyed. Subaru sees this and fixes it by crossing out the first line, leaving Mickey frustrated and asking if he knows he's a bean spirit without any introduction. The fortune god makes an excuse, saying he asked about the class he'd handle, so he knew, but in truth, since the young one is Sano's closest friend, he investigated. Subaru then seriously corrects errors for the others. Seeing the kid get annoyed, Mickey calms him, but it's not his fault, it's all on that one. Sano asks the homeroom teacher to explain a few parts to avoid dealing with his brother. Haruaki, excited to help, realizes upon looking that this isn't the subject at all, leading to their comedic mix-up. Subaru is shocked at this teaching style from a teacher. Later, while eating with his two friends, Haruaki admits feeling insecure teaching alongside the fortune god, who's so popular with the students, while he's not. Hatanaka advises not to mind it, as no matter who teaches, their scores stay the same. Mickey agrees, saying there's no need to feel down, since that class has always had poor results, even when Hatanaka taught it. Last year, when he learned he'd be free from those demons, he celebrated handing over the responsibility. Hearing this, Haruaki is surprised it's his first time hearing about it, and asks what that means, leaving Hatanaka stunned. Suddenly, Mickey remembers his promise to tutor Akium today at lunch, pulling out questions written in cat language. The two acknowledge Haruaki's dedication, as he fully immerses himself as a cat to better understand his students. His friends remind him not to run on all fours, or he might scare everyone. Back in class, Haruaki sees his students all gathered around Subaru, even Akise, wanting the new teacher to explain what they don't get. The fortune god promises to help boost his scores from -35 to 15 points, making him thrilled and calling him truly reliable, which breaks Mickey's heart. As a result, he rushes off, leaving Yashiki and Sano confused. The plague god senses something and chases after him but finds nothing. At that moment, Haruaki hides under his desk, leaving the other teachers speechless. They hear that after seeing Subaru's excellent teaching, he's become self-doubtful like this. Overwhelmed, Haruaki hugs his uniform for comfort. The principal urges the colleagues to console him, as friends share their worries now, so they must listen responsibly. Hatanaka rings the bell and teases, asking if he's already lost his teaching confidence. He advises not to overthink, as low student scores aren't from bad teaching. If the class is full of misfits, no method will change it, and their pay isn't cut anyway. The principal warns Hatanaka to watch his words. Haruaki is stunned that he pushed off his underperforming students, and still says that. Hatanaka is lost for words, and Haruaki sadly apologizes for not meeting expectations. Hearing this, the other one gets furious and kicks the desk, demanding he come out. Haruaki, scared, stays hidden, thinking it's just talk. After this, the principal sees his condition is worse than before, leading to. It was Mickey's turn to advise. If you're troubled, let us share the burden, and then we'll solve it together peacefully. Just as he finished, the trickster spirit grinned slyly, saying, 100% genuine, not just flattery. To boost his friend's spirits, Mickey added, After the chaos at home, my other sister actually likes Haruaki now. As thanks, next time, I'll help you escape being a bachelor. Hearing that, Haruaki panicked and slammed the door shut, refusing any more favors. Outside, Sano was still searching for the homeroom teacher. Subaru explained that he was in the staff room. They exchanged a few words. Why are you here when you have such a grudge against monsters from the past? Subaru advised his brother to help the homeroom teacher instead, saying, he's crying his eyes out over there. But he teased, you're the perfect example of a kind-hearted fool, just bait for the wicked to exploit. It's downright foolish. Sano admitted that guy was weak, but if you gave him a uniform, he'd snap out of it. Then, turning back, he advised his brother, if you don't know someone's good points, don't badmouth them. Sano thanked him for the info about the staff room and dashed off, feeling thrilled by the scolding. That's why this brother-obsessed guy won't let his brother stay in this worthless school. After meeting the homeroom teacher, Sano was asked to bring Akium to apologize for ditching their study session and running off with another teacher. The spirit of mischief thought it wasn't necessary since he'd handle it quickly. He reached out, but Akium didn't. Responders were scared, but this kid was ready for a fight. Remembering his brother's words calling Haruaki weak, he dragged him outside to see if the teacher was still angry. Impressively, Haruaki ignored it and asked, where's that gentle attitude from earlier? But Sano's patience had run out, so from now on Haruaki better brace himself. Haruaki broke down in tears, thinking it was his fault the students' grades were so low compared to other classes. More than half failed the exam, it's utterly ridiculous. He always teaches on instinct, not as cleverly as Subaru. Before he could continue, Sano advised the teacher, be yourself, don't try to be like that guy. If he can get Akium to 15 points, then you just need to help him improve even more. And everyone in class loves your quirky lessons, they're always fun and full of laughter. Sano's words helped Haruaki regain his confidence. Akium came to talk about the teaching and admitted, I asked Subaru for help on a few spots, but I still prefer learning with you, the homeroom teacher. Hearing that, Haruaki hugged them both and cried tears of joy. Yoshiki brought the goofy guys to comfort him, and seeing he was better, they were happy. Each had their own opinions, but in the end, they admitted, we're a bunch of fools, and only you can handle us, no one else stands a chance. Haruaki cried even harder, promising to try his best from now on so they can learn properly in their own unique way. In the future, each of them might even start their own company. It's a dream as grand as jumping to the moon, but hey, who cares? Seeing the strong bond between the students and Haruaki made Subaru rethink things. That evening, Haruaki's class stayed late at school to debate what to do for the Hita festival. The flirtatious Hita suggested a mermaid cafe, but Ndu didn't want his love interest dressed revealingly for others to ogle, so he refused. That's why the whole class had to stay extra hours. The swamp spirit added, the guys will wear swimsuits to serve too. Others teased, how cunning, when will that ever end? Haruaki, excited, asked, what about a uniform cafe? But the class rejected it immediately, saying it was too cheesy. Next, the dangerous Yanagida suggested an explosive cafe and pulled out 2 skull-labeled bottles, scaring everyone. In the principal's office, things were tense over Subaru's actions, plus reports about Miki's mother. The principal thought it was a joke at first. How could Haruaki dispel the power of Tuzu Thondong, the one that even the strongest exorcists couldn't defeat last year? They barely sealed it. Haruaki's exorcism power might be far more terrifying. The principal was about to invite Haruaki for a drink when suddenly an explosion happened, and they all dove under. They ended up right in front of the principal, who yelled furiously, what the hell are you doing? It's true what they say. First ghosts, second demons, third students. The class got orders to earn money to fix everything they broke. Haruaki planned a game booth to make as much as possible. The next day, they had off before the cultural festival. The homeroom teacher and a few boys went to buy supplies. There, they saw Ndu and Sano, with Subaru tagging along for fun. Their transport was a train. As the announcement played, they all boarded, but glancing at the old, eerie train, it felt off. The others were late, still not there. Kurahashi got a message from Ndu and foresaw a troubling future ahead. On the friend's side, they bumped into Hatanaka twice like fate. Asked where he was going, he said his wife and kids were back in their hometown, so he wanted to buy stuff before the 4th child arrives. Wondering why the train was so empty, Utagawa mentioned having a girl, and they were surprised. Then, someone called her familiarly, shocking the one-eyed Gaiet was Dr. Takahashi. The others quickly realized they were a pair. Sano was so shocked he couldn't look, and Hatanaka fumed, thinking the handsome doctor was flirting at the academy. Takahashi laughed, praising everyone's vivid imagination. Utagawa urged him to explain before Ndu misunderstood. Turns out, Takahashi is her guardian. This white spirit was born from the souls of the dead years ago. He accidentally found her and took her in. Ndu was relieved, thinking they weren't dating. Utagawa hid it from classmates because she has no parents and didn't want them to worry. The one-eyed guy related, saying his mother was human and passed away years ago. He didn't want to worry friends either. Haruaki curiously asked, and he finally answered. He has parents and a twin sibling. As for Dr. Takahashi, he has a full family plus a quirky younger sibling that Ndu knows, who works at his place. That's why he knows details like when Takahashi last wet the bed at 4, or that unthrown love letter from that girl. That little fish is Utagawa. Nu fumed, asking which demon sibling betrayed him, and promised to demand blood later. Suddenly, Sano noticed the phone signal was gone, and their destination changed. They were taken to Necro City. True to its name, skeletons filled the streets. At first, they thought they were monsters, but they were just the remains of the deceased. Subaru realized the train was haunted. They were the only passengers left. Hatanaka kicked the door in frustration over getting into more trouble. When he threatened the conductor, it was just a floating uniform. Takahashi, excited by this first-time sight, wondered why the train horn blared without anyone pressing it. Musamaro and 2 others were eliminated. Sano thought they might have been taken to be eaten. Haruaki was stumped and couldn't open the door. Subaru figured they were the real targets, not those 3. As predicted, he and the doctor were pushed out. Luckily, Takahashi reacted fast, telling his friend to turn into a fox for ease. From there they uncovered the train's purpose. All 5 inside had unique souls or blood, 2 flawed gods, a new generation exorcist, and 2 specially born monsters. The 3 eliminated were pure monsters. Takahashi felt it was like an endless train, everything inside like a living body. The teacher wanted to save the others, but suddenly, their car turned into a dining room. They hadn't seen that before. The doctor tested by injecting the train, and it worked. The theory that it was a living entity was correct. Hatanaka demanded a warning next time. Musum warned the floating clothes were angry, not wanting Utagawa eaten. The doctor decided to fight seriously, leaving everything in ruins. They thought it'd be easy, but faced another challenge. Unprepared, Hatanaka was knocked out by the bones. Takahashi was smarter, injecting himself to hold on, while Musamaro was unaffected as a plant. He said the scent was like a sleeping gas, and the passengers were terrifying ghosts. It cursed the ghosts to let the teacher go since he has a family. Takahashi wasn't much better. Realizing the thing wasn't a monster, it was the tragic end of those eaten by the train, turning into a sleep-inducing force that paralyzed him, yet he stayed excited by the strange attack. The rest were okay, or maybe not, as a shadow appeared, targeting the couple first. Seeing his beloved students dragged away, Haruaki chased after, grabbing on. Subaru easily defeated the shadow. Sano felt awkward alone with his brother. Haruaki bit the giant hand to free them, but the 2 didn't know about his exorcism power. If it got out of control, they could be in danger. Smartly, Haruaki tricked it, saying there was a fare evader at the front. The ticket checker switched targets to the brothers. They used the nearby speaker to warn the others. Sano and Subaru were surrounded, shocked it returned. They thought the others were eaten, but Haruaki announced over the speaker to gather on the roof. With the White Spirit's help, the 2 escaped safely. Sano and Subaru defeated the checker to get up. Utagawa feared Takahashi's group was down, but they were attacked by wheels. Seeing the kids in danger, Haruaki risked his life to shield them. Luckily, Subaru arrived and split it in half. Musamaro ran to hug Haruaki, saying he thought they were all dead. When the 2 were about to be eaten, he created the world's smelliest flower, overpowering the gas and letting the doctor move. Then, the kid witnessed the doctor's brutal torture. That's why Hatanaka fears going with him. Knowing his brother did great, Haruaki was proud. Out of options, he admitted his exorcism power but needed everyone's help. Ndu, Utagawa, and the doctor didn't know, so they were surprised. Though curious, they followed Haruaki's lead. The doctor used his spell to create eyes on touched objects, making info gathering easier, but they still couldn't find the train's core. Subaru asked the one-eyed spirit to look into the darkness ahead. His vision is the best among monsters. Quickly, he spotted the playful fire spirit. The luck god carried Haruaki to it. Though unseen, with the god's power, he approached easily, wanting to test Haruaki's exorcism. Haruaki sensed it was different from usual monsters. The group behind saw the light and watched as Haruaki encouraged the spirit, knowing its heavy karma led to this form. He said, "This is the final station, so no more suffering." Its true form appeared, thanking Haruaki for release and hoping not to harm in the next life. Later, when the group reached their spot, everyone was asleep. At first they thought it was a dream, but Takahashi's wounds proved it was real. Looking at the tunnel mountain, they saw the eaten souls ascending. Sano wanted to buy stuff, but they realized they left their bags on the train, wondering if those items ascended too. Finally, the cultural festival at the Monster Academy was about to begin. Haruwaki's class chose a haunted house, but it seemed unstable. The homeroom teacher returned with late-night snacks and found everyone collapsed. Asking Ndu if he was okay, he said, exhausted to the bone after working non-stop for a week. In contrast, they wondered how Haruwaki stayed so energetic while everyone else was tired. He thought his brain was excited about the haunted house, forgetting all fatigue. Utagawa planned to ask Haruwaki for more help to ease the class's burden. After that incident, they learned he's an exorcist and thought they might distance themselves, but the couple stayed as close as ever. Remembering, after the event, they explained to Ndu and Utagawa that Haruwaki is the descendant of the strongest exorcist in history. Though he inherited the power, they weren't afraid. At first, they thought he was a uniform-obsessed monster the principal found and hired as a teacher. Hearing that, Haruwaki felt sad that his image as a respectable teacher turned into a uniform dog in their minds. Ndu scolded, "Why keep this secret? What's the harm in saying it?" Sano said he feared everyone would worry about a monster living with an exorcist, their natural enemies, so it's no surprise if someone distances themselves from Haruwaki. Understanding, Ndu felt like hugging a ticking bomb. One wrong move, and the homeroom teacher could blast them away. Utagawa felt grateful to the teacher for saving them from the endless train. Maybe the principal foresaw this and hired an exorcist to teach. That makes sense. The one-eyed guy asked Haruwaki what he thought of his face. Haruwaki shyly complimented, "You're handsome, a total charmer." But he meant, if Haruwaki met him on the street before teaching, would he run in fear? After all, Haruwaki hid under the table at his first monster sighting. At least, he overcame that fear to become a great teacher, which the kid admired. Haruwaki's character and lifestyle are truly inspiring. Hearing that, Haruwaki was overjoyed. Back to now, Renju brought outfits for everyone. Since each in class belongs to different clubs, they're busy there. Haruwaki and Sano had to find them to finish class tasks. At Taiyu's spot, they're doing food stuff. Haruwaki didn't get why the basketball club was hosting a cooking contest, and even got challenged to send Musumaro tomorrow. Teased too much, he agreed. Taiyu asked for 10 more minutes to clean up before joining class. Next target was Fuji, cross-dressing for the drama club. Since it's all guys, he's perfect for the female lead. Sano was speechless about a love triangle with all guys. Fuji is the heroine, and teacher Miki is the homewrecker. The most special part is Yashiki playing the man. Surprisingly, the team that scared them at the beginning of the year showed up to cover the festival and make a special report on the Monster Academy. The next club is Yanagida's. Sano worriedly advised against going, saying, "That guy always pulls off suicide bombs." Later, everyone gathered to watch the girls change. They all looked adorable, exciting guys like Hita. When it was Yashiki's turn, he looked real, just a bit short on chest. His close friends complimented, but the swamp spirit was probably just thinking about fruit. For the guys, it turned out like this. The handsome ones got dressed up to attract, making Hita jealous of the unfairness. Utagawa apologized for the tight budget, so they wore simple outfits for coolness. Right then, the mischievous Yanagida returned with explosives, creating fireworks like last time. Haruwaki shivered, remembering how close they came to destruction last time. Before reacting, he let the two chemicals touch, causing a massive explosion that blew everyone up. Other classes passing by thought they wanted to camp there. Everything from costumes was ready, but the battlefield was wrecked, so they needed a new stage. Hearing that, the homeroom teacher got an idea and started right away. The next day, parents and students from everywhere flocked to the school for the festival, lasting 2 days to let monsters from all over join. The most notable was the Sky Dog gang leader, who prepared fake tickets for free entry. Total boss move. The principal showed up to arrest his friend. The guy apologized, thinking at least on festival day, he should have fun. The principal asked his name today, and it was Ren Maru. He agreed to release him but demanded he come to Haruwaki's class. Excited, Ren Maru saw it as a date since they hadn't hung out in a while. After arriving, they saw the sign, Human Maze. The principal said Haruwaki connected the classroom to another place. Interested, he wanted to try. Hita welcomed the VIP guests and charged 200 yen for regulars, 500 for close friends, and 1,000 each for couples plus 700 if you're taken, or 5,000 if you're not a virgin anymore. Ren Maru thought this class was ripping people off. The principal agreed, so they used the fake tickets to save money. Inside, Haruwaki's class set up elaborate traps. Hita cuffed them, forcing them to overcome challenges together. Solo players get a mouthguard instead of jewelry. Finding it gross, the principal decided to play with his friend. Just entering, they heard screams from a couple. Haruwaki, as the guide, explained that students would play humans or monsters to make it hard. If you meet one, ask about the key, but only once if wrong. You're out or can't find it in 30 minutes, forcing you to wear the teacher's favorite uniform and enjoy the festival as punishment. Suddenly, the principal didn't want to play. His dignity would be ruined if he lost. As soon as he said that, 2 other players were dragged out and forced into sailor uniforms. Renmaru asked how he trained teachers to let Haruaki run wild. Since escape is hard once inside, they started searching for the key. Soon they ran into Miki and Hatanaka, who said Haruaki invited them for free strange since he's money hungry. They wondered what he was plotting. So far, the pair hadn't found any clues. Then, Mauka and Akium passed, offering hints if they answered a question. The short guy pulled out his 5-point test, making them solve it. What a mess times 1 minute, so they rushed. After figuring it out, they answered right, and got a hint from Mauka. Why are we all hiding our faces? It's basically another question. Miki realized and whispered the answer to Hatanaka. Confident, they ran off, waving to the principal and wishing him victory so he wouldn't wear the cute uniform. Seeing them go without clues, Renmaru had to fend for himself. Hatanaka and Miki found a possible human and rushed to ask, but fell into a trap and were eliminated. Haruaki appeared, announcing their defeat, making Hatanaka furious since no one warned about traps. He thought wearing a uniform now would be humiliating. Subaru tried to slip the cuffs, but Haruaki had prepared against that, locking them in a cage and sealing it with talismans. Musum advised the pair to give up and wear the uniforms. Otherwise, Haruaki's punishment would be harsh. They reluctantly did. When the parents of the 2 teachers saw, they were disgusted. Hatanaka awkwardly explained it was a punishment. Miki was used to cross-dressing at home, so it was fine, and some girls even called him cute. Hatanaka felt betrayed for not getting compliments. Haruaki, on the side, happily snapped photos with his friends. Musum saw his sleazy face whenever uniforms were involved. Haruaki's goals went further. Realizing the principal was struggling, Haruaki got excited to make them wear uniforms and turn his plan real. Below, the pair was asked why Haruaki gets scolded by students. There are 3 answers, and they easily passed after analyzing Akium's hint. The principal learned that masked ones are humans, so he ran to find the key holder. Above, Sano and Endu, playing humans, chatted about how the teacher showed no mercy today, but the 2 spotted them and stepped forward, falling below. Luckily, the skydog could fly, so they overcame it. With 30 seconds left, Musum pretended to drop 10,000 yen, tricking Renmaru. He went for the money, wasting time. The principal was mad at his dumb partner. Since they lost, both had to wear the uniforms as required. Haruaki's real goal was to show that not just students look good in uniform 7 adults like them do, it was the principal's first time in such humiliation. Asked why he loves uniforms but won't wear one, Haruaki said, because I'd be too embarrassed, leaving everyone stunned. So, he just enjoys seeing others in them. Back to now, Renju brought costumes for everyone. Since each in class is in different clubs, they're working there. Haruaki and Sano had to gather them for class. At Taiyu's, they're doing food. Haruaki didn't get why the basketball club was in a cooking contest and got challenged to send Musumaro tomorrow. Teased a lot, he agreed. Taiyu asked for 10 more minutes to clean up before joining. Next was Fuji, cross-dressing for the drama club. He's perfect as the female lead. Sano was lost for words about a love triangle with all guys. Fuji is the heroine, teacher Miki the homewrecker, and Yoshiki the man. Surprisingly, the scare team from the year's start showed up to cover the festival and report on the Monster Academy. The next club is Yanagida's. Sano worriedly advised against going, as he always pulls bombs. Later, everyone gathered to watch the girls change. They all looked cute, thrilling guys like Hita. When it was Yashiki's turn, he looked real, just short on chest. His friends complimented, but the swamp spirit was thinking about fruit. For the guys, it turned out like this. Handsome ones got dressed up to attract, making Hita jealous. Utagawa apologized for the budget, so they wore simple for coolness. Right then, mischievous Yanagida returned with explosives, creating fireworks like last time. Haruaki tensed, remembering how close to doom they were. Before reacting, he let the chemicals touch, exploding everything. Other classes thought they wanted to stay. Everything was ready, but the field was wrecked, so they needed a new stage. The homeroom teacher got an idea and started. The next day, parents from everywhere came for the festival, lasting 2 days for monsters to join. The most notable was the Skydog leader with fake tickets for free entry. The principal showed up to arrest him. He apologized, thinking at least on festival day he should have fun. The principal asked his name, and it was Renmaru. He agreed to release but demanded he go to Haruaki's class. Excited, Renmaru saw it as a date. After arriving, they saw the sign, Human Maze. The principal said Haruaki connected the room to another place. Interested, he wanted to try. Hita welcomed and charged fees. Renmaru thought it was too much, so they used fake tickets. Inside, Haruaki's class set up everything. Hita cuffed them, forcing challenges together. Solo gets a mouthguard. Finding it gross, the principal played with his friend. Just entering, they heard screams. Haruaki explained students play humans or monsters. Ask about the key once. If wrong, you're out and must wear his favorite uniform as punishment. The principal didn't want to play. As he said, 2 players were dragged out in sailor uniforms. Renmaru asked about teacher training. Since escape is hard, they searched. Ran into Miki and Hatanaka, invited for free strange. They hadn't found clues. Mauka and Akium offered hints for a question. The short guy made them solve his test. What a meso minute. After, they answered right and got, "Why are we hiding faces?" Basically another question. Miki realized and whispered the answer. Confident, they ran off, wishing the principal victory. Renmaru fended alone. Hatanaka and Miki asked a possible human but fell into a trap and were eliminated. Haruaki announced their defeat. Hatanaka was furious. Subaru tried to escape, but Haruaki locked them. Musum advised them to wear uniforms. They did. Parents saw and were disgusted. Hatanaka explained it was punishment. Miki was fine and girls called him cute. Haruaki snapped photos. Musum saw his sleazy face. Haruaki's goals went further, wanting the principal in uniforms. Below, the pair answered why Haruaki gets scolded. They passed. The principal learned masked are humans and searched. Sano and Undu chatted, but the 2 fell, overcame with flying. With 30 seconds, Musum dropped money, tricking them. They lost and wore uniforms. Haruaki's goal was to show adults look good in them too. An elaborate setup to start the game. Hita cuffs the 2 together, forcing them to face challenges side by side in this state. The task is to find the key within a set time to unlock the cuffs. Solo players get a special mouthguard instead of the number 8 jewelry sounds creepy, so the principal decides to team up. As soon as they enter, they hear cries from another pair. Haruaki, as the guide, explains that his students will split up, own acting as humans, the other as monstesto, create obstacles. If you find the right one, you must ask about the key's location, but only once. If you answer wrong, you're out or can't find the key in 30 minutes, and you're gone. In that case, the player has to wear the uniform the teacher loves and enjoy the festival atmosphere as punishment. Suddenly, hearing this, the principal doesn't want to play at all. It's a blow to his dignity. The principal's reputation will be ruined if he loses and becomes a laughingstock. As soon as he finishes speaking, 2 other players are dragged out and forced to wear sailor uniforms in front of the crowd. Renmaru asks how they train teachers to let Haruaki run wild like this. Since it's hard to escape once you're in, he thinks it's best to start searching for the key right away. But somehow, they run into Miki and Hatanaka here. They say men invited them for free, which is strange because he's usually all about the money. Like Haruaki, who should charge for entry. They're wondering what that fool is plotting now. This pair hasn't found any clues about the key yet. Just then, Mauka and Aki walk by and offer a hint, but only if they answer a question. The kids pull out that 5-point test and make the 2 teachers solve it. What a wild twist. They have just 1 minute, so they scramble for the answer. After sorting it out, the pair gets it right and receives the hint from Mauka. What on earth? Then he suggests why everyone has to hide their faces. Isn't that just like a riddle? Miki quickly figures it out and whispers the right answer to his partner. With total confidence, they rush off to search, even waving goodbye to the principal and wishing him victory so he won't have to wear that cute uniform. Renmaru sees them go without leaving any clues, so he has to go it alone. Hatanaka and Miki spot someone who might be human and hurry over to ask, but they've fallen into a trap set by magic, so they're eliminated. Men appears and announces his colleagues have lost, making Hatanaka furious since no one mentioned traps. He thinks about slipping away to avoid the uniform shame, but it's not easy. Haruaki's prepared and locks them in a cage, sealing it with talismans to block their powers. Masumo advises the pair to give up and just wear the uniforms. It's better than harsher punishment from Haruaki. Reluctantly, they agree to. After the parents and the homeroom teacher see it, they recoil in disgust. Hatanaka feels utterly embarrassed and explains it's just a punishment. Miki's used to cross-dressing at home, so he handles it better. Some girls even call it cute, which makes Hatanaka feel betrayed. No one's praising him at all. Meanwhile, Haruaki's thrilled after snapping a photo with his friends. Masumo notices how Haruaki always puts on that sly face around uniforms. Mayen's true goals run even deeper now that he's realized. The principal struggling to find the key, Haruaki suddenly gets excited and decides he must make these 2 wear uniforms no matter what, turning his plan into reality. Below, the pair is asked why Haruaki gets scolded by students. There are 3 answers, and they easily pass after analyzing the hint from Aki. The principal realizes the masked ones are humans, so he rushes to find the key holder. Up above, Sano and Nu, playing as humans, chat about magic. Today, the homeroom teacher shows no mercy at all, and the 2 get caught. But as they step forward, they fall through. Luckily, the Tengu has flying abilities, so they overcome the challenge. With only 30 seconds left, Masumo pretends to drop 10 yen. Instantly, Renmaru falls for it and grabs the money, wasting all their time. The principal is furious at his foolish teammate for losing. They both have to wear the required uniforms. Main's real purpose is to show the world that not just students look great in uniforms, adults do too. For the first time, the principal endures such humiliation. When asked why Men loves uniforms but won't wear one himself, he says it's because he'd be too embarrassed, leaving everyone stunned. So, Haruaki just enjoys seeing others in them, not wearing it himself.